and St Kilda in a qualifying final where conventional wisdom dictates the winner will make the grand final and the loser can't win the flag. Those are the stakes that are being attached. We're at PG. It's storm is on its way, and when the rain arrives, it's expected to stay for the next 36 hours in Melbourne, and they might drown tomorrow night when the Magpies and the Bulldogs play. Such is the forecast we're getting. It all lies ahead of us on Grandstand AFL. Gerard Whateley with you. Adam White is with me. Whitey, hello.
G'day, Gerard. It's great that we're finally here at the MCG for finals, isn't it? It's September. It doesn't feel like September's in the air because, as you said, with the rain coming, but we've got the two grand final teams from last year going at it again. What a great way to start the final series.
David Parkin's seen many a final series commence, and not too many as juicily as this.
No, you're right, Gerard. I'm delighted to be here, and I have to tell you, ABC listeners, it's the first time I've seen Gerard. I think I've worked with him now for 10 years. He's here, and he's number 14 Geelong jersey, and I think that is a sign that I've never seen confidence like that in Gerard before, but he thinks this Geelong team has arrived in a condition that they haven't arrived in for the last 5 years.
Well, it's funny you say that, Parko. I came here a little bit earlier tonight, and Gerard was actually wearing the shorts and the socks as well. I just said, look, just tone it down a little bit. We'll feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Peter Schwarm, hello.
Do you want me to bring some...
You'll be my ally?
No, I will be your ally. You call it in a very unbiased way and back you up to the hilt, because I'm the one who's been giving St Kilda a nice old whack. If you were listening to me last Sunday, I said I wasn't really looking forward to seeing them play, but I must admit, I am in the game. I just hope the rain... in many ways. So fingers are crossed. If it hits, it's going to hit. It'll be very, very important who starts the game well and who gets the score on the board. It's a bit like the old days when you're a kid playing football. Got a few goals up in the 48th ball up for the quarter.
In all seriousness, though, does that change the way St Kilda may play? That we know that they like the grind and all that sort of thing, but do they maybe need to go a little bit more attacking to possibly get the lead before the end of the world comes in the second half?
I think, Peter, I think it works the other way. They'll just make sure, doesn't matter how little we score, that Geelong scores less. And as long as that's around about, the conditions will be, I would think, given the scores are relatively close, would keep St Kilda in the game and encourage them and keep them at the kind of footy which would worry any other opponent in the competition, I would think, if they're able to play. And I think Pete and I have talked about the contrasting styles of these two teams, Pete, and I think we want to get some footy played, half a footy at least, seeing the contrasting manner in which they go about it.
Yeah, well, they both get the ball about the same amount. They're not far off each other. It's just what they do with it when they get it. One plays like they're in a pinball machine and they whiz it round and then find space and go hammer and tongs down the middle of the ground if they can open it up. The other side is just painstakingly, but they're very, very methodical and careful in their build-up.
They are, and they get a lot of uncontested possession, but it's in parts of the ground that don't hurt the opposition. And I think, Pete, I would be saying it's the Saints' inability, and in finals this does count, to kick a winning score, which has caught them out badly even over the last couple of months.
You're a defender like myself. We would have loved, if we could have kept up with the game, we would have loved playing in the back line now, because the highest four marking players in each side are all defenders. So it just shows you that in the modern game that the defenders will work the ball. Even the Geelong defenders will work the ball around amongst themselves by foot a lot.
Yep.
Sorry, Schwab.
No, it's just a system that is very similar for both sides. I just think Geelong will play on a lot more, and I like that, because when you play on, you actually create that defensive zoning stuff. You create a bit of confusion within it, and if you can keep the skill level high, which Geelong do, it actually can break the game up and forces the way St Kilda like to play a bit differently. That takes them out of their rhythm and comfort zone a little bit.
There's plot and subplot to this. Stephen Baker is not going to play for St Kilda. The changes have come through. Baker and Geary are out. Dempster and Eddie in. For Geelong, Burns replaces Lonergan.
Was he ever going to play, Stephen Baker?
Oh, we're getting all manner of reports, including the fact that he's in the full garb doing the warm-up behind closed doors and may re-include his late withdrawal.
Come on, so you tell me...
Coaches are mad,
Yeah, well, I was going to say, you were disrespectful to me off the air before we got on now, and you've already said it, so now you've confirmed that you said we're mad.
What possible purpose does it serve St Kilda to name Baker last night and then withdraw him an hour before the game?
I'm having awful trouble justifying it, I must admit. But Stevie Baker, I mean, the relief... It doesn't matter whether the relief comes. If it was, I certainly wouldn't want to play on Stevie Baker. No. I've had 4 nights sleep thinking he was going to play. I mightn't have slept quite as well. So just that anxiousness during my sleep might have affected me. But the rush of whatever comes when you suddenly find out you're not facing the enemy with a bazooka, it's going to be a feather. Be all right.
I don't even think they would have played him on him. There you go. I'm serious. I reckon that he might have said, no, everyone thinks I'm going to do it, so Gwilt, you play on him.
So explain to me, David, the mindset of the coach.
You've got to play mind games in coaching.
Come on.
I think
you do.
Why? Tell me why.
Because any form of distraction or anything like that, it's just part of the game. Maybe it's just whether you get an advantage or not, by instinct and by nature, coaches just like trying to play around at the edges with opposition.
I just think it's simple. He dropped another 10-pin bowling ball on his foot, and he's out. His toes broken.
I'd hate to admit this, but I've actually...
You do.
I've done... I suppose I can. I've gone to players who have set themselves, probably we weren't as early in the week in those days, we wouldn't have been telling them on Monday or Tuesday. Some blokes you'd never tell them. I rang every player every Friday night before the game. We basically played them on Saturdays and Sundays in those days. So everybody got a phone call from me. It was actually to check whether they were home or not.
No, I like your style.
And then we give them the specific task or reinforce it. I have been known at the top of the race to stop the guys and say, just a change of plan here. Jack, you go to Bill, and Fred, you go to Jimmy, which were for them a massive, take-off of pressure, because I'd given them 2 days before a particular task on a guy that they hadn't, so they were preparing well and giving themselves the mind of it, and suddenly we released that pressure by giving them an opponent they were much happier to be with. And I wish I could tell you whether it worked or not, but I've done that.
Did you do that at the last moment, or had you always planned that?
No, I'd planned it, yeah. I'm not good at last moment things. I might have done it with Bertie DP Domenico. Put him on brightest at the last minute in the 1978.
You wouldn't have to do much with Dip. He'd just go out and play, wouldn't you?
I ran him the other day.
Tell him which way we're kicking.
Can I just tell you, I was running the other day with John Kennedy and Alan Jeans, and Dipper came up and he said, what's the 3 things that you have in common? I said, we all coached. He said, no, I made the 3 of you. Which I thought wasn't a bad line.
No, it might have been too harsh. You're not mad, you're just all nuts.
You're getting worse. You've got a cop one now.
Tell me about tonight. Well, what do you feel is at stake for these 2 teams?
Oh, look, the big thing that keeps looming in my mind is that, and you probably won't like this, and Geelong people won't, but we've had 2 grand finals, the last 2, that have been won by teams on the back of the ineptness of the forwards. They've created enough opportunities, both Geelong against Hawthorn and St Kilda against Geelong, and haven't been able to convert those chances. And there's an enormous, I would have thought, an unbelievable disappointment to know you actually got the place, you just couldn't put out your hands and grab it. And I think St Kilda have talked about this. They've been open about it. Every single player I've heard interviewed, and the written stuff has all been about, we are carrying this. Now, they might carry it as a massive handicap, which obliterates them, but I'm telling you what, the greatest in football is built on the disappointment, the greatest disappointments, and the greatest disappointment, in my opinion, is losing a grand final. And that, I don't know what's bubbling underneath the St Kilda, but they've faced up to that. They've used it as a driver. Now, people, psychologists might say that's absolutely stupid, and Geelong will be laughing about it. But that just means they might dig just a little deeper in these circumstances and produce individually and collectively the most sustained onslaught in a physical sense that Geelong are half prepared for but don't know that's really coming. And I think that's the chance. Look, if you look at all the aspects of it, Pete, I mean, I can't see anywhere across the ground the method or the players that could actually beat this Geelong side now. But I've got this little nag deep down that says, they'll come in a way that none of us, including Geelong.
Well, the form ladder is fair. Wins out of the last for both sides with percentage, albeit that neither of them has have they coming in. So just check myself there in case I'm wrong. No, I mean, you could say, well, they smash them. So is what St Kilda's been in your court, David. No, tonight game we talk. If they, it's going hard for them to. Even if they do, I both think Premier. I don't know whether it is, but that take my hat off. I reckon to do what they did without Rewalt or talent.
Long had condition. Well, and much more confident. I've seen 3 game stage. Have they say or whatever? Anywhere near their best Kilda football. You're given conditions are really would win this game, not in the canter, but would win by 4 or 5 goals.
Paco, I wanted to ask you about that because we remember back maybe a month ago that Ross Lyon was saying, we're not playing the footy I want to play. And I think he may have used the word we're playing around about 70%. I haven't seen anything in that last or the 3 weeks since to suggest they're getting anywhere near where they need to get to beat a team like Geelong in the finals. Can they switch it just on? Has it been that they have been going below 100% because they've been conserving, getting ready for a final series because they're always going to finish top 4 from where they were? Or is there genuine concerns going in from the coach that I'm not sure whether they can actually do it?
It's a good question.
Is there a doubt in the mind of the coach?
I'm in the court that says you can't switch on. You're hoping like hell. It's not built up. They're all human beings in the best sense. They read, understand, smell, taste what's happening in this organisation, this team that they play, and they're a bit hoping too. You can't hope. Once you get here, hoping's no good.
Especially against a team that expects.
It doesn't get you many kicks or marks and certainly doesn't kick you any goals, hope. So we're sort of hoping a bit that they'll come to the party and give us a game. I think the talent of Geelong, the method they use, and I'm with Pete, I love watching Geelong play. It's an excitement, it's continual motion, it's risk-taking, it's corridor footy, and I guess if we're going to choose, the 95 out of 100 people who follow football would want to watch Geelong and the 5 that want to watch St Kilda happen to be St Kilda supporters. So it's that kind of footy. I'm just interested as a coach to see 2 methods being applied against each other tonight. Rather than having 2 sides playing similar footy, similar methods, we've got 2 sides that are totally different in the manner which they're coached and the manner which they play, and that's an interest for the football purists about our game.
Let's head downstairs. The warm-ups are being completed, and one of the Cats assistant coaches, Nigel Lappin, is with Tim Hodges.
Jared, we're joined by Nigel Lappin, and Nigel, you've just been in the room. Stevie Johnson must be about the happiest cat in the land after news that Stephen Baker isn't playing tonight.
Look, I'm sure he'd be delighted, but obviously Stephen's a really tough opponent for Stevie J, and look, a lot's been said about the niggle and what happened last time, so that's a positive for us. For one, so Steve can concentrate on footy, and 2, because he's obviously a good, important player to them. So
still, he must have been pretty pleased.
He was, yeah.
Just repeating the St Kilda news, Dempster and Eddie in, Baker and Geary out. and you've been forced to make a change. Tom Lonergan, his hip hasn't come up, and Shannon Burns in.
No, we thought Tom would be okay actually, and just late in the week he just hadn't come up quite as well as we would have liked with his hip. So it's a bit disappointing, but it means that we head out there tonight with a little bit more probably speed on the bench, because we may have had to have left one of our small forwards out. So hopefully that'll work in our favour in the end.
It's a talk of the town, the weather that's on its way. Have you had people talking at the Bureau of Meteorology? What time do you expect it to hit tonight? Somewhere we're hearing between half-time and three-quarter time.
Yeah, well, we've heard the same. We just all been downstairs. We had a look at the radar, and it doesn't it still looks like it's obviously a fair way away, so we'll just wait and see. Hopefully, be nice to be a few goals up when the rain hits.
We've got Nigel, he has the cans on. We've got David Parkin and Peter Schwab upstairs. Fire away, boys.
Nigel, with the outs for St Kilda, did you have an inkling that was going to happen?
Oh, look, you always have. You had an inkling to worry about it too. Yeah, definitely. He's played for us. Flat-footed in five, being a real hog and on the bench. Folks has come back in this year, had a fantastic year for us, and Burns, obviously, it's a pretty dangerous forward mix for us.
Just a quick one before I hand over to David. Just with training during the week, because this is so late in the year, do you have a set way of going, or do you think we just need to tweak it a bit depending on who we play?
Oh yeah, we do. We certainly tweak it depending on who we play. You do, like every other club as well, you do your heart rate recovery tests and all those sort of things, and training's adjusted according to the results of those as well. But you certainly do adjust training, and you adjust your sort of your intensity and all your contact loads and that depending on who you're playing as well.
Nige, I'm fascinated by, and I think I'm right here, you might correct me, that Geelong in fact is the least number of interchanges in the competition.
No, that's correct.
That's correct.
Yep.
And can you say why that would be so? Is that just that the players are fit enough, and who controls it? I mean, are you reefing them on and off, or they actually get to the point where they put up their hand and say, I can no longer play at the intensity? How does that work, and why would it happen to be that Geelong are the lowest in the competition?
A lot of teams do have set rotations these days. We tend to rotate generally from the coach's box on feel, and that's probably why we're the lowest. Sometimes we kind of feel that some players, especially our older players, and we've got a fair few of those guys, and we've got a fair few of those guys that can just grind out a game, and they're really smart footballers, your Jimmy Bartells, Darren Milburns, those type of guys that can just play big minutes of footy and still not hurt the team by the fact that they don't rotate all the time. So we tend to do it by feel. As I said, a lot of clubs got set rotations, but to me, I find it funny if a guy's just starting to get into the game, and he might have had his first 3 or 4 minutes might have been quiet, he might have had a touch, and he's just started to work his way into the game, and then you actually take him off. So, but I also understand that it's a very very intense game, and with the anaerobically, there's just that much pressure on the guys these days that they do need to be rotated a fair bit. So we try and find a balance in there, and as it's fallen, we're the lowest in the competition.
It is interesting because G. Ablett happens to be, I think, played most minutes for, he's a midfield player and has played the most minutes of any Geelong player this year, so my spies tell me.
Yep.
And that's interesting. That's interesting itself, but I'm looking long term, or just down the road, where it appears they're going to make a change, and if it does come back to the one that's suggested, probably Geelong are most ready for it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And we sort of, as I said before, we tend to do it by feel. And guys like Gary, and they can play big minutes of games. And Gary's an exception. Him and Paul Chapman obviously can go forward and get a rest when they go forward. I know not many teams really find that their forwards get a rest these days, but our guys are smart enough that they can still join in defence and find a way to have a spell. So we tend to feel that our team benefits more by Gary actually being out in the ground, whether he's resting in a forward pocket rather than resting on the bench, because he always finds a way to either set up a score or kick one himself.
Nigel, do you find with a player like Ablett and Chapman that they will get players who will play them close so that they can almost dictate their rest level.
Yeah, that's true too, Pete, but at the same time you've got to be careful of that because those guys still need to join in defence and into your defensive structures. So if Gary and Chappie are going deep and having a rest deep but not pushing up the ground, then it'll leave a hole somewhere else for the opposition to get through. So we're mindful of that as well.
Nigel, how would you describe the shape this team is in coming into a final series?
Oh, we're in really good shape, actually. In terms of the list, there's not many of the guys are carrying injuries, which is unusual for this time of year. They're very fresh mentally. We've made sure that we've adjusted their programs so that they've had a fair bit of time off this year and even over the pre-season. So they're feeling really good coming into the finals. In fact, I don't think we could be in better shape, to be honest.
What about Rookie? You're not counting him out of all that,
obviously, yeah.
You'd like, he'd be first pick if he's up and going.
Yeah,
I just think he's the heart and soul of the manner which he goes about it. That might be carrying it to an extreme, but yeah. I think he's one that if he were able to contribute, you'd like him round about. No,
you're spot on there, David. He's and just for you have a look at St Kilda's team tonight with their dangerous sort of half-backs that they've got. Rookie could easily play on one of those, and he's done that for us in the past. So you do miss him for not only what you spoke about, his hardness and just the way he carries himself, but also just for the role, the importance of his role within our team.
What are you anticipating tonight, Nigel, other than the fact that it's a critically important final and direct passage to a preliminary final? The history of last year's grand final, they'll have waited for you for a long time for this sort of occasion. What do you reckon? What will we get?
He'll get a fairly intense game early, obviously, with a lot of mistakes. That always happens early on in finals game, especially when two of the top teams are hitting it off. But as the game settles down, hopefully you see Geelong attack the way they normally do, using the ball through the corridor and quick. But at the same time, you'll see both teams hopefully very good defensively. St Kilda are brilliant at rolling off and getting the spare number back, and obviously we'll be trying to counteract that as best we can. So it could be a pretty tactical game, I reckon, guys.
Can't wait to see it. Good luck, Nigel.
Thanks, guys.
This from Geelong. The banners are out and the players shortly to follow. Geelong's banner heralds the 150th game of Steve Johnson, and St Kilda have provided just an early gift with the withdrawal of Stephen Baker. Crowders on the build. The top deck is sparse, shall we say. It's not going to be the bumper crowd you might have imagined. We'll get stuck in next.
You can get the ABC in more ways.
News.
With the new ABC iPad app.
Entertainment.
We've already got your phone covered.
3G or Wi-Fi.
No matter which mobile you're on or where you are.
Radio.
There are apps or the ABC mobile site.
Video.
And now there's the new free ABC iPad app.
TV and podcast.
So browse it, swipe it, listen and watch. Get your ABC on the move.
This is Friday Night Football on ABC Local Radio.
And this is the commencement of the 2010 final series, and it begins as last year's ended, with St Kilda and Geelong to square off on the MCG. The prize from this qualifying final is a direct route to the preliminary final, and a loss puts them in against the winner of Fremantle and Hawthorn tomorrow. Conventional wisdom of this suggests that the winner will make the grand final and the loser won't be winning the premiership. Gerard Whateley and Adam White to call it for you. David Parkin and Peter Schwab in position for all the analysis. And gents, with some ceremonies to come once they run out onto the field, the national anthem, that's when you know it's September. Just launch into the preview for us and tell us what to expect.
Well, I went to the statistics for a bit of a different take. I always look at past form. I think we mentioned it before. They're both in good form. Probably Geelong's form is better. They've played higher quality teams than the Saints, and David, you weren't as convinced about St Kilda's form. They both win the ball a lot. They're both very efficient. The inside 50s clearly favoured Geelong, which is a terrific advantage they do have, and they're much more likely to score once they're in there. The one area that will worry the Saints is that Geelong also marks the ball a lot inside 50. The Saints don't. The Saints don't play on much, so Geelong knows what to expect, that methodical build-up. The matchups, I think Taylor took Rewalt and will take him again. Scarlett will try and help out by zoning off Cozzy as much as he can. I think Wojcinski will take Milne. Maybe Hunt will get Schneider. Although Schneider's a dangerous player because he floats in the midfield, and gets a lot of room sometimes. I don't know about Ling, whether he takes Del Santo or Hayes.
Well, he failed on, I think he took Hayes last time, he failed on an inside play, and
Yeah.
I thought he'd reached the stage of life where he should.
Just let me tell you, St Kilda first to come out. They paused as they reached their banner, and Nick Revolt gave them a blistering inspirational burst before they went through the crepe paper.
Well, he measured the thickness of it. He thought they mightn't make it without a pre-break the banner speech.
It was as intense as you would see.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's the one that's been leading the discussion, Jared, hasn't he, during the week, and he's been looking down the barrel of the huge disappointment which this club suffered last year. I think the biggest disappointment of the season of any team, on the basis they did enough in the grand final to win it and didn't, and that's been driving them. I've heard every single player, coach, even the coaches mention that, and I find that very different to most.
Isn't it amazing, Parko and Schwabby? We think of Nick Revolt, he's just come back like he was never gone. He's missed a massive chunk of the season, but the expectation still is if St Kilda is going to have a big September, he needs to fire. So there's so much pressure on him, considering how much footy he's missed.
Oh, because he's one of the great players of the competition. You're right. I mean, it's a phenomenal effort to come back and play as well as he has with the injury that he did suffer.
Yeah, because people were saying that not only was his season in jeopardy, that his career was in jeopardy, that we might not see him play the same footy again. But we certainly have.
He's just a perfect size in this modern game, isn't he? He's just a marvellous athlete. And there's no doubt he's the key to them.
Yeah,
whether they can win the premiership, and he has to wear that because great players wear that mantle, and that's unescapable.
Well, there are
inescapable.
Four targets, Pete, aren't there? The two at St Kilda. One of them's very suspect, Cozzy, as to whether he'll arrive and mark and kick the goals that we expect him to do. We all know what we're going to get out of Rewald, and I guess at the other end of the ground there are a couple of suspects too there. Mooney and Hawkins haven't been in scintillating form and haven't had the consistency about their season they would like. So we'd say the key forwards, one only stands up to me at this moment, that's Rewald.
Oh, he's the best forward, the best key forward. The Cats certainly have the best mid-sized players.
No doubt about that.
In Chapman and Stephen Johnson. The midfield mix, well, Lenny Hayes is a terrific performer against anyone. He's a very good player against Geelong. His form stacks up. Ablett, on the other hand, hasn't, quite. He's been very, very good, but I think Jones at times has frustrated him. So he'll certainly get that job. Montagna's been pretty good against Geelong.
Wonderful year.
Goddard's been a pretty good player against Geelong. I think Fisher's an A-grade. He's an outstanding player. He's the player who, when they tried to man both him and Gilbert up and play them defensively, he's the one who was able to cope better with that. Gilbert was the one who lost his form over that, whether they do something in that regard. And then you've got Bartell's a great player. Corey's an interesting one because he's been probably a little bit below par, hasn't he, with injuries?
Carried a knee, for a long time.
And then your favourite, and I don't know who gets him.
Well,
he's a star.
Hope they go head to
Selwood.
head. Wouldn't it be terrific tonight, whatever the conditions, wherever the game is, whatever the state of play, that if we can get those two, Selwood versus Hayes, as a dead-set, head-on competition. They're two of the bravest and most skillful inside players I think the competition's ever seen. I hope tonight the coaches will let them go at head-to-head.
Geelong will take St Kilda on, as we said, try and get through that zone. Where St Kilda's got to hurt them is force the ball into a turnover situation and hurt them on that.
On the way back.
Yeah.
And you're right, Pete, because the run and the handball, which Geelong, I think they've almost taken it to an extreme. I've seen them play a couple of times this year, which I called them disrespectful to the opposition, because they'd actually flicked it to the point where somebody was free and they could go, but they just did a couple more just to show how much control they had over it. You'd think if St Kilda are at their best defensively, if they're not closing, if they don't get 80-plus tackles tonight, then their chances of bringing Geelong undone are negligible.
I thought Geelong, I think we saw them against Carlton. I thought they kicked the ball a lot more against Carlton that night.
Yes, they did, and were pretty convincing.
Which was a bit of a change in the way they went about it. So it shows you that they can if they want to. And this is where great sides do it. They have to play occasionally a different way. And this is my thing with St Kilda. If they get behind and they need to score, Can they do it?
Well, that's their greatest weakness is in the St Kilda team, full stop, and their method of play is their inability to keep winning scores.
Are they kicking the ball more as a result of what happened when they played Collingwood, and that Collingwood pressed up against them to handball into Werra, that maybe they said, month to go, boys, we've got maybe a chance to tinker with a few things?
And that's when we talk about teams needing to be able to play differently.
Yep.
That you have to teach that, or you've got great talent that can automatically adjust to it.
Because it's probably the first time in 3 or 4 years that Geelong's actually been forced into a situation that maybe we can't play it always on our terms.
And Adam, you're quite right, because it's the only time I've heard Bomber actually allude to that, that their method failed on the day and that they would generally have to see, and I know whether it's a method that changes just because you're playing the Magpies in that particular way, or whether it's a nice tweaking of the method which will work well against all the other side, including St Kilda, who tend to close time and space at their best, probably the best at it, even better than the Magpies have only been doing it for a short period of time.
Great players usually play well and make right decisions regardless of what coaches tell them to do.
You mean despite the coach? They're just
I think so. Look, I watch Ablett, and Ablett will just do things that Ablett knows he needs to do at any given time.
Yeah, the great. Yeah, we go back over the years, Pete. The players that you've coached, not many of them fit that category, but there are definitely players in all sides at the moment who are almost free spirits in the sense of their decision making.
Stevie frustrates us because we think he tries to create too much, but at times he does things and sees things on a football field that not many people do, and he's able to sometimes conjure up something that comes out of nowhere.
It's a wonderful gift, isn't it? That great little centreman that played for me, Greg Williams. He had the capacity. I remember first practice match we had, he actually released a ball from the first contest in the middle of the ground. David Glascott, the winger, was playing on my flank. The ball, David took off to go forward thinking he'd swing and kick the ball, and Greg hit him in the ear. I never forget, he hit him right in the right ear roll from about 30 metres away, and then he did the wide string out past David as it followed the ball into the forward line. And I said to David, I got David a call time, I said, what did Greg Williams say? He goes, don't ever take your eye off me, son. When you think I can't see you, I can. And I think that's trying to make the point about some players are just in another world and understanding and perception. one of the really good stories to underpin that kind of approach to your footy.
That's better than your crazy stories about pulling players out and whatnot. Late changes in both sides. Dempster and Eddie in. Baker doesn't take his place in Geary. Burns is in. Lonergan out for the Cats.
Jared, I want to ask Parko and Shawby this question because both of them have played in finals. They've won grand finals, etc., etc. Do good players become better players in finals, or do the average players, are they unable to cope with the bigger stage and the good players just continue being good players?
I've seen perceived average players play an outstanding grand final game. So there's a capacity there for a player to absolutely play to his best on the right time and the right moment. And I've seen champions, or have shown themselves to be champions, falter badly on grand final days. So it has to be your psychological ability at times to cope with the occasion. So and that's why reputations are made or not made on grand final day, because if you don't perform, and even finals, but if you don't perform well in finals and you're a great home and away player, there'll always be a question mark over you.
Yeah, look, and I could go back to 93. You old enough to be, you were about 2, were you?
No, I wasn't that young.
93, and we played Essendon, and Pete's exactly right. I reckon that's described what happens at the extremes. But I've also given players, I had enormous faith in players who were average performers, fantastic application, want to do the job, and I matched them up on very much superior talent and athleticism, and they got absolutely smashed, ruined their lives and their footy lives, particularly ruined their lives, but it certainly ruined their football lives, because I had an expectation which was beyond their talent in a grand final on the day. And I think you've got to be very wary, and I think in knowing the psychological makeup of people when you're picking those sides and the particular roles to give them is absolutely critical from the coach's point of view.
Players coming over to the members wing for the playing of the national anthems. St Kilda and Geelong, they've met 4 times in finals. The Cats have won all 4 of those. The last, of course, last year's grand final when they played earlier this season. St Kilda held Geelong goalless in the second half to emerge victorious. Down to ground level with Craig Willis.
Would you now please join with the coaches, players and umpires as we stand for the Australian national anthem.
For September, St Kilda and Geelong and about 55,000 friends at the MCG to acknowledge the start. There are plenty outside the ground too in queues just trying to get in for the opening siren. Tim Hodges is in the front row for us tonight. Tim, good evening.
Jared, good evening to you and fellas. What a night for football. Magnificent conditions. It's the 3rd day of spring and it's actually warm down on the boundary. I keep being told there's heavy rain on the way and we're expecting 150 mil of rain expected to hit the state in the next 24 to 36 hours, but at the moment I cannot see it coming. There's not a breath of wind.
Tim,
Jared,
I can see the radar.
I'm trying to talk myself into no rain.
We might get wiped off the map later tonight.
That's just complacent, Tim. Very, very complacent.
Look, at the moment there is no wind to speak of. The ground is in sensational nick. Now the crowd, you said about 55,000 people, Jared. I would think there's maybe as many as 15,000 people still outside, either in their cars on the way to the ground or in the lines. I would think the crowds outside the MCC turnstiles 50 or 60 people deep. So the MCC is confident this crowd will get upwards of 65 to 70,000 people. Just repeating the 3 late changes, 2 for the Saints, Baker and Geary out for Eddie and Dempster. For the Cats, Burns comes in for Tom Monaghan, who is out with a hip. The benches down here for the Cats, Joel Corey, Mark Blake, David Wojcinski and Shannon Burns. For the Saints, Ben McAvoy, Jason Blake, Brett Peake and Robert Eddy. Hopefully the rain stays away, boys, and we have a ripper final. Have a good call.
There's no wind because it's the calm before the storm.
It's the literal. Peter Schwab, who will win?
I think Geelong. Not by much.
David Parkin?
I'm terrified that we're going to give some credence to a Geelong loss, so I'm actually thinking a bit of a sniff St Kilda.
You've just gone against everything that you were saying before. Now you've confused me.
He's the insurance man.
I'm going to
That's exactly right.
For me.
Yeah, the Cats for me as well. So Kazitsky and Revolt march down to the city end of the MCG to take up duty. And that image has just been replayed of Revolt stopping his team as they were going to break through the banner. And there was no doubt it was a reference. 11 and a half months in the waiting for an opportunity like this to face Geelong in a final that really matters and try to advance to a prelim and set themselves up for a taste of that elusive premiership. It builds within the MCG. They're in their positions. Geelong and St Kilda in the second qualifying final on Grandstand AFL. You're with Adam White.
We're just waiting for the siren to start things off. Selwood in the middle, Ling in the middle, Ablett in the middle, Hayes in the middle, the siren. It's hard not to feel just that little bit nervous as we get the 2010 final series underway with Gardner and Ottens in the ruck. They shared it in the ruck in the end. Chapman came off the square and got the first hand pass. Charging onto it, Ottens gets the hand pass to Kelly. The first kick inside 50 is a bouncing ball. Charging onto it, Gilbert lost control of it. Stokes got the hand pass to Bartel. Now to Chapman, an open square. He goes long. Gilbert, Gwilt slides onto it. Got a little touch to it. It now falls to Ray. Hand passes to Gilbert under pressure. Hand pass to Hayes. Back to Gilbert at defensive 50. Kick to the members wing. Schneider caught behind. Enright couldn't take the mark. Schneider gets pushed in the back. And Adam Schneider, back in the team this week, will take the free kick defensive side of the members wing.
He'll roll out on the left boot and set them to centre half forward. McQualter's got loose of Milburn. Front of the centre square, Kosicki's on the lead. Scarlett will close. Milburn, in fact, makes the smother. Hurried kick inside the 50. Clears the lot. Gardner's at the back. Open goal. The Saints are on the board.
What's interesting here, we've got a very interesting matchup. It's Goddard on Chapman on the far side, and as good a player as Goddard is, he's starting on wing, he's not a short man coming out the back half. There's a Chapman led him in clearly in the run at the ball. It's quite interesting, and got the first hand pass I went forward, but some very good rebound footy, really good rebound footy with them working hard together. Gilbert in the finish was able to flick one. Hayes to him. They got it out. It was an interesting long kick into their forward line, which clearly advantaged the St Kilda forward, and over the top to Gardner. And Gardner got a free run at the goal. Crumped it like a small man.
He actually worked hard from the wing to get down there, Gardner.
Back in the middle with Ottens and Gardner, the goal kicker. Again, it was shared in the ruck. Picking it up, Ottens at ground level. Hand pass to Chapman. Now to Hunt, now to Ling, all by hand. Ling has to be quick. He's kick out towards the members' wing. Kelly in front of a bouncing footy. Got a bad bounce. Ray collected for the Saints. Hand pass to Montagna, back to Sam Fisher. Right half back, flank members' side. Kick towards Del Santo. Too much carry on the ball. It goes out of bounds for a boundary throwing. Del Santo is on Ling. Jones on Ablett, so no surprises there in the midfield.
And Ray, Kelly on Ray, or Ray on Kelly on the near wing to us. So some interesting matchups here tonight.
Hayes and Selwood as well. Goddard and Chapman, as we mentioned. So many delicious matchups. Gardner wins the tap down to Hayes. Couldn't control it. Ottens goes in again. Picking up Milne on the members' wing. Hand pass was good to Gardner. Near the boundary. Hand pass knocked down there by Kelly. Montagna dives on the footy. He finds the boundary as Ablett and Jones have a little bit of a fight-off play.
Well, I'm watching that, and seriously, the umpires need to watch that closely. He's just, all he's doing is scragging Ablett every time.
That's a free kick now. He's got
throw in. The umpire has seen it. Ablett's free kick.
Well done.
He'll race up at the defence and hand pass to Chapman in the midfield. Look for the spread. It wasn't on. He lofts it inside the 50. Mooney wrestles. Gilbert drops the mark. Stokes is the crummer. He bounces it at the goal front and hits the target. Stokes for the Cats, and it's a goal apiece.
Well, the company were all sucked in. Fisher was in the air. I think Gilbert was in the air. I think the third one might have been Graham. I think there were three that were sort of in that, and it flopped off the back clean and clear was the crummer.
It shows you sometimes the long kick in can cause problems. Gilbert, look, Mooney did well in the end. He actually, all he did, and what he had to do was create the contest. Yep. Well done.
So we've played nearly 4 minutes in the opening quarter, and it's a goal apiece as we go down to Tim Hodges at ground level.
Hey, Whitey, that was very interesting from Paul Chapman. He was the one who got Gary Ablett the free kick because he spoke to Sean Ryan, the central umpire, and said, watch Jones, he hasn't stopped scragging him. And within 5 seconds, umpire Sean Ryan paid the free kick, which set that goal up.
Ling with the hand pass out into open territory. Kelly goes onto it, kick partially smothered. Ablett takes it, 60 out, vacant square, it's long. But it's out to the left and through for a minor score. The Cats kicking to the punt road end, the Saints to the city end, and the Cats lead by a point after 4.5 minutes.
I wonder if that'll go down as a goal assist.
Gwilt plays on from the kick in into the left back pocket. He goes long with his penetrating kick to Fisher. Fisher looks up the southern wing. Everybody manned ahead. And to the side as well, so Fisher's going to have to set this up long to a contest. Kosicki bounces into the pack, but he can't complete the mark. Johnson at ground level for the Cats. Hand pass to Kelly, gives a little ground to Enright, kicks into the centre square for Mackie. Had Milburn going by, instead decides to deliver in the direction of Bartell, right in the bullseye. Hand pass back to Mackie, forward of the play now to Ling. This is a build-up. Ling from 50, kicks to the square. Hawkins hits it hard, doesn't mark. Barco to drop. Oh, he threaded the needle from the boundary. Superb stuff from Barco. Caps a classic Geelong move. 2-1-13 to 1 goal after 5.5.
We're both having a bit of a look at, David's having a look at St Kilda and Geelong. What set it all up, David, was the handball back under pressure on the far wing by Johnson. I think it was Enright. Found the corridor and they just opened the play up from there, and they're on Geelong. The ball movement is brilliant. They're quick with their hands. Dangerous when it goes in. The Saints look a bit shaky down back.
Oh, do they ever? Dawson, Gwilt and company weren't sure. Hawkins made a terrific contest and finish to actually thought it was going to be marked easily by a St Kilda defender, and it came down again. What a remarkable kick.
They're actually not meant to go in, those. Back in the middle, Gardner winning the tap. Ottens grabs it again. Hand pass to Ling over his head. Ling trying to find Ablett, but it's cut off. It's a St Kilda ball. Dempster's turned it over. Bartell, hand pass to Ablett. 50 out. Over the top to Mooney. 30 out. Now 20. Kicks it, goal and misses. A let off there for the Saints, no doubt. Mooney missing to the near side. The Cats 2-2-14. St Kilda 1 straight 6. There was an iffy hand pass in the middle of the ground from Sean Dempster.
That's where Mooney lets himself down. He should nail those.
Goddard long picks out Del Santo. Cleared the defensive 50 with a kick. Revolts up defensive side of the middle on the long lead.
Well, Cosy nearly killed Revolt the previous time. Just nearly killed him in that long kick in.
Revolt pulls his kick for Gardner. Not a bad effort. Spoil made late by Ottens. Mark not paid. Ottens wraps up Montagna. Stopped him dead in his progress out on the wing, and there it will be bounced.
Bit unlucky there, wasn't he? Probably should have been claimed the mark, but anyway, wasn't.
Very unhappy Saint I am.
Cats by 8 after 7 minutes. Ottens knocks it, but Milner's able to crumb the tap. Kicks the bouncing ball up to the 50. Cut off by Milburn, and it's coming back the other way. Long to Bartell. Good mark out in front of Graham. 2 kicks out from goal. Bartell looks to the lead of Hawkins, and he's found him right on the chest. Had a step on Wilts. There was 3-on-3, 15 out from Geelong's goal. Hawkins went first and Bartell honoured the lead.
At the 7-minute mark, I've got the shutters up. They're just controlling the ball, winning and controlling the ball so well. It seems a sheer fluke when it actually crosses the mid-line and goes towards the Saints front half.
45-degree angle for Tom Hawkins. He'll walk to the 50 and roost the drop punt high into the evening sky. It will go across the face of goal and through from behind. Geelong by 9.
They might be doing a 2008 grand final here. They are keeping the opposition in it by not kicking the goals they should.
It's 2-3 to a goal. The Cats in front. Del Santo kicks to himself. He's favouring the southern side. He's really casually running out of defence. No one coming at him. He took a bounce, then kicks out towards Peake. It was a poor kick. Nearly a mark taken by Mackie. Umpire initially said play on. In fact, it now goes over for a boundary throw-in. Paul Kellery on the stats tonight, Paul.
Yes, 33 possessions to the Cats, 22 only to the Saints. Inside 56 to 1.
Yep, dominant.
So we're going to have a throw-in, right half forward for the Cats out on the southern side. As I mentioned, Geelong kicking to the punt road end. Boundary throw-in, Blake on the ground, wins the tap down to the front. Jones, hand pass, knocked down. Ablett spins out of trouble, then got knocked off his kick, but he goes again, Ablett, and kicks it inside 50 into the pocket. Stokes couldn't quite get there. It bounces on the line, then goes out for a boundary throw-in. 25 out from Geelong's goal. 9 minutes gone first term. It's the Cats 15, the Saints 6. Crowded forward line as the throw-in takes place. Blake and Gardner. Blake again winning it down. Chance for the Cats, no. The hand pass comes to Gwilt. Hand passes now to Sam Fisher, top of the goal square. Pokes the kick over the top to Graham. It was a little dangerous, but Graham did well. Found Schneider, and the Saints are away at right half-back.
Schneider brings it up to the wing. Goddard had to take the bump ball, handed back to Schneider, who kicks haphazardly up beyond halfway. Ball rolls out toward the boundary and ultimately over.
not much for them, David, off half back.
Nothing.
They look up and Schneider had to kick it out wide because he had no one to go to.
Umps tonight, Brett Roseberry, Matt Stevick and Sean Ryan. Geelong by 9, early stages, thrown in on the wing. Mark Blake with the tap at ground level. Ablett has a play at it. He feeds the hand pass out to Chapman. Doubles back through the traffic and spent it beautifully out to the middle of the ground where Corey dropped the sitter. Enright runs shotgun. Corey in a tackle, gives it up. Revolt for the Saints. Hand pass to Hayes. Kicks out to the southern wing for Kosicki. Graham is working forward for him. He'll find him 75 out, but it's on the bounce. Graham has Bartel to deal with. Hand passes back to Gwilt up to the 50 mark, taken by Eddie on the lead. He'll wheel out onto the right boot. Kick to full forward. Revolt! Mighty grab in the pack.
Well, Jared, it's even better than that because who started this forward movement deep in the defensive area in the centre square? He was the one that won the ball and slipped it back out of the back square, and he's been able to run down there with 3 kicks. The third one landing in his area. He rose and took a really gutsy mark. What a wonderful athletic football effort that was.
Yeah, he does work, David. I'm watching Taylor. He's finding it hard work just running around with him.
It's such a commanding mark just to settle his team down. Words of inspiration are one thing. A goal after such a kick is beyond him. He's kicked it off the instep of the right boot and missed from 15 metres out, no angle. St Kilda 1-1-7, Geelong 2-3-15.
So Josh Hunt with the kicking in duties for the Cats. At the City End goal square, this is a dangerous kick. McAvoy for the Saints has marked at 45 out in the corridor. It was a nervous kick in. He almost just caressed it to the 50, hoping more than anything else. McAvoy read it well and just jumped over the top of Chapman and took the mark. And a chance to make up for the Nick Revolt miss. This is Ben McAvoy. In he comes. From just inside the 50, directly in front. It won't be a goal. It's also out to the left and only a minor score. 12 minutes gone. It's a nervous start. It's St Kilda 1-2-8. The Cats 2-3-15.
Enright on kick-in duty on the follow-up, and he's done no better. He played onto himself and then kicked it straight to Ray. Varco had to make the late spoil. Revolts onto the crumb. Shares it with Montagna. Now to Graham. Off a step, 50 out. He kicks to the goal square. They form up. No mark. Off hands. Another behind to the Saints. It's the Cats by a straight kick.
What a stupid kick by Graham. What a stupid kick line, though, Pete. I mean, he didn't go for the goals. He put it half in the square. It's the easiest ball in Australia. Apoplector.
I think he had a shot on goal, David. That was his problem.
Well,
but he obviously didn't have the capacity to carry the distance.
Officially marked down as a rush behind. The Cats stick it around in defence. It's now with Chapman 30 metres out from St Kilda's goal. Not a lot of run at the moment for the Cats, as Chapman forced to play on and kick long to the southern wing. Blake is the target. He can't take the mark for the Cats, but it goes over the back to Stokes. Hand passes to Burns under pressure. Hand pass to Ling. Clever kick out wide towards Bartel. Just forward of the wing. He collects the bouncing ball on the southern side. He'll kick the centre half forward. Wants Stokes. He's caught behind. Forced to spoil. Now a contest. Jones first there for the Saints at centre half back. Hand passes to Peake. Now across to Ray through the middle. Kicks out wide towards Eddie. A bouncing footy. He collects it well. He looks inboard. He's cornered. So he goes defensively. And that's okay because Peake takes the mark on the southern wing. Kicks back in the corridor to Fisher. Plays on. Gets past Barco. Defensive hand pass to Del Santo. Back to the southern wing. And it's Jones. So they're keeping possession, but they're not moving forward, the Saints. On the southern wing here at the MCG. Short pass to McQualter's okay. Hand passes now to Del Santo running past. Kicks inside 50. Kosicki, yes! 2 bites. Went with a chest mark and he's marked it just outside the 50. Now his very best, I reckon he could almost make it.
You reckon he's got to kick that?
Oh, he's a long kick, Justin Kosicki.
Yeah. He'll have to kick it 60 plus.
And the effort to kick it will lose the accuracy.
Okay, maybe he can't make the distance.
Well, it'll be a fantastic kick if he can.
He's just inside the centre square. No, he's actually no chance. He kicks to the top of the goal square. One for the high flyers. Revolt was one of them, couldn't mark. Front of the pack, still a chance for the Saints. McWalter out of the pack, he's missed to the right. Snapshot under pressure from about 20 out. Only a minus score again for the St Kilda Footy Club. It's hot. It's 1-4-10 St Kilda. Geelong 2-3-15 after 15 minutes.
Well, it's 10 shots at goal for 3 goals between the two teams.
Hunt into Ling, back to Hunt, kick outside the defensive 50 was poor. It bowled Mackie over. Tackles are being laid. Ling is in there trying to halt St Kilda's efforts to regather and put it back inside the defensive area.
This has been their best, Jared, this has been their best effort, is to hold it in. I mean, Geelong are having great difficulty once it's in the forward 50 for St Kilda to get it out.
Mark Blake down to Ablett, dragged off his kick. Hayes to tidy up, hand pass to Goddard, to Jones and back to Goddard, who feeds it to Graham, around in the triangle to Ray. He'll give some ground with his kick back to the wing. Dawson marks, long to Kaczynski, got it!
Great kick. I actually thought he took the wrong option, David. I thought he would have gone wider on his left to where Riewoldt was with Taylor. He's actually hooked that back to the crowded side and found Kaczynski. He's been very good on the lead.
He has. He was a couple of metres on his opponent, and Scarlett's no slouch at A, reading it, and B, getting himself across the ground, so that's a good effort. He needs to kick this. The game is just at the moment poised. Dominance of Geelong to start. Now St Kilda getting a bit back, but they need to score.
The big forwards are clunking it. Now for a goal. Kaczynski can't. He misses at the right-hand post. He was 35 out. So Revolt and Kaczynski have had huge opportunities. They have not been able to punish, and it's Geelong by 4.
Tim Hodges at groundside.
Gary Ablett off for a breathe, and Clinton Jones followed him to the bench, and he is hurting big time after, 16 minutes trying to stick with Gary Ablett. Josh Hunt also off and straight on the phone, and he's been there for 45 seconds. So obviously some pretty big instructions from upstairs after those kick-ins.
Wojcinski's got it to the southern wing, but it's coming back with Gilbert. Enright, though, takes the mark defensively inside about 30 metres out from St Kilda's goal. Told to play on. Hand pass to Wojcinski. Back to Enright. Hand pass to Ling. Immediately tackled from Schneider. Had to kick under pressure towards the southern wing. It'll come off. It's okay. Bartel caught on his left foot. Kicks up towards half forward. Chance there for the Cats through strokes.
Good decision,
There's a free kick coming back. It's a shepherding free kick.
Do you reckon?
It's going to St Kilda.
Yeah, I'd like to see it again.
Well, you know what I'm bragging for.
So a St Kilda footy, and it's Dawson kicking into the corridor on its peak. At defensive 50, centre-half back, they switch play to the members' side. Kaczynski there. Spoil comes from Scarlett. Sam Fisher first there at ground level. Got the hand pass to Blake. Kick round the body, smothered by Mooney. And he finds the boundary between wing and half forward for the Cats on the members' side.
It's definitely a shepherd.
Against Stokes.
Didn't go for the ball at all. Just looked at his player and pumped him underneath it, so he couldn't go.
Yeah, well done by the umpire.
Deserved a good hit in the head he's got.
Ottens wins the tap down. He gets it back off the ricochet to Chapman. Hand passes to Ablett. Centre wing members side. Kick smothered there by Montagna, but it falls fortuitously to Ottens. Hand pass to Ling. Now to Wojcinski. 50 out. It's an open square, but it bounces away to the right. Out of play. Boundary throwing deep in Geelong's right forward pocket. 18 minutes gone in the opening quarter. It is Geelong 15, St Kilda 11.
Paul, how many for Ablett?
And the throw in, Gardner down to Fisher, off to Goddard, outside the 50 for Mackie. Try again, Paul.
Yes, Gary Ablett, 6 possessions, but now totals 65 to the Saints, 59 to the Cats.
Yep.
Mackie
had the better the last 10, St Kilda.
Right half forward, crowded, set up ahead, out into the pocket. Jones and Ablett off hands, out of play.
This reminded me of that great game between St Kilda and Geelong at the Dockland Stadium. Was it the first round last year? It's just all playing in about a third of the ground all the time.
Cats deep forward, Ottens down to Johnson, off to Varco, kicks off a step, swings it at goal, got there. Superb stuff from the ruck. Varco has 2. And Geelong 3-3-21 to St Kilda 1-5-11, about to hit time on of the opening term.
Well, important goal, as you said, stoppages. If you can score from stoppages, you do well.
Yeah.
Barco's been good. He's kicked that clever goal and he's just won another one.
Well, poor effort of Gilbert, though. He allowed young Stokes sort of hang on to him, stop. He should have got he was easily able to touch that ball that was going through. Just didn't make a strike. Was relying on the umpire to get the free kick. Just failed to touch the ball. It went straight past his hand.
Yep. It's good hands, though, to get it out by Stevie Johnson. Good snap. Clever player, Barco.
Hasn't he got better?
Oh, he's a very good player. Great defensive player as well.
So the Saints have dominated for 10 minutes, unable to score a goal. Geelong goes down and gets one immediately. That'll really hurt the Saints. Back in the middle with Gardner and also Hawkins on this occasion. Gardner won it down to Del Santo. Hand pass at the shoelaces of Montagna. Couldn't control it. Milne goes in for the Saints. Darts away. Did well. Hand pass to Goddard from the middle. Long kick. Revolt running back with a flight. Get back in. He marked. He played on. He goes. The St Kilda captain gets his first. The Saints answer 2-5-17. Geelong 3-3-21. 20 and a half minutes gone opening quarter.
What happened, Peter, about the 11-minute mark of this quarter? For whatever reason, the defensive efforts that we've known St Kilda for all of a sudden went through the roof, and they started to win balls back by winning it back from Geelong when they were in control of it. That was a terrific effort.
And it just proves centre bounces are critical because it's a long kick in. No one can flood back. They had a nice structure at the centre bounce. Rewalt's one out.
All over.
Schneider had a key touch on Taylor just as the ball was breaking forward to put him off balance and give Revolt the couple of steps he needed. Bounced back in the middle. Gardner wins the tap. They play a bit of volleyball. Ling is onto it. He gave it straight up to McQualter. St Kilda inside the 50. Kaczynski's the target again. He lunges forward and plunks the footy for the fourth time.
Well, but this is the best I've seen them play as a unit, other than that first dreadful long ball in which Kaczynski came from behind and nearly killed them. They've separated themselves out and both individually on their opponent, given their clear, beat them each time. It's been fantastic effort.
Kaczynski, he's certainly within his range this time. The long run up at left half forward, but he'll be delivering it goal from a step beyond the 50. Kaczynski to put the Saints in front. He has. It's a monster from range. And St Kilda 3-5-23 over Geelong 3-3-21. 22 gone on Grandstand AFL.
Be fair to say, Pete, that Geelong have had to conjure up most of their goals, run and kick and cross and do that sort of thing. St Kilda have done the classical way, going to their targets, and had he's kicked one of his three, hasn't he? One of the three attempts. The one from inside the square was no hope, but the one from 30 or 40 metres out, just in the corridor, should have been kicked. They could have been, for the time they've been in control of this game, they could have been in control of the scoreboard too. Again,
a centre bounce clearance, and Cozzy's in great form, and at the moment, if you're sitting in the Geelong coaching box, you're worried about Kaczynski and Revolt.
Otten's in the middle winning the tap down for the Cats, but it's taken by Goddard. This comes out towards Ray, got knocked off the footy. Milne in the middle, gets a kick, but there's a free kick off the play. It's a St Kilda free kick. It's going to Lenny Hayes and he plays on out to the southern wing. It was a messy kick for Goddard. He slipped over at the critical moment because he was all on his own. It now comes out to Kelly. He gets the hand pass to Stokes near the boundary, just forward to the southern wing, up towards Ablett, one-on-one with Jones. Jones with the spoil. He finds the boundary. A throw in, 60 out from the Cats attacking zone.
I reckon again they should have gone in deep. I reckon Hayes should have whacked it in from that centre again.
Well, that's where they got the advantage, Pete. Yep. A stupid decision.
McAvoy in the front wins the tap, taken by Selwood though. Bouncing footy towards the goals. It's just missed to the right. It just kept going there from Joel Selwood through for a minor score. So it's the Cats 3-4, St Kilda 3-5 after 24 minutes. The rains hit Macedon, so it's coming.
Doc, the contest between Hayes and Selwood, going head for head. What's the contest say?
Let me have a quick look here. I'll just bring it up, David. It'll take a little while.
Goddard will play onto himself from the kick in, run out to the back pocket. He's looking for Revolt. Taylor is with him. No mark this time. Fisher at the back. Hands and knees. Feeds it off to Revolt, who'll kick up beyond halfway. High ball. Kaczynski and Scarlett. Kaczynski again. Clean hands.
He's having a great quarter.
He's giving Scarlett a bath. Hand pass to Peake. Hand pass to Montagna. Mown down by Milburn. Corey onto the spillage. Gave it to Kelly. Now to Chapman. Fires the kick into the midfield. Bartell has it. Looks at the forward setup. Steve Johnson's on the wide lead. That's where it's going. Johnson dropped what he might have taken. Dempster right with him. They tie each other up to a standstill. Goddard out of the pack did well. To Jones. To Gwilt. Bounces round the southern wing. Delivers in the Milne direction. Leans on his man Hunt. Marks. Looked to have played on, but he goes back now. He's played on this time. He's kicked for Revolt. He's got it. This is the night St Kilda has dreamt of, when their two key forwards tear a quality defence apart.
And they are. And Harry Taylor just hasn't got the leg speed or the endurance to stay with him.
Well, Revolt was getting in the back pocket.
I'm just going to make exactly this. He did exactly what he did to set up that original goal. He was the winner of the ball on our left here. That is a defensive side of wing. He's now on the end of the kick into there. It's unbelievable.
And maybe that's the problem, that he needs to get his breath back a bit quick, because he works so hard to actually get the ball in those spots.
He has taken a long pause to do just that. Revolt with the air back in the lungs. He kicks a goal. He squeezes it in at the right post. And St Kilda push their lead out to 7 points. 4-5-29 to Geelong 3-4-22. But it's all about the how.
David mentioned Selwood. He's had only one possession, and Hayes with 4. Inside 50s now, 11-9.
Yep. And there's some, we talked about their methodical build-up, David, but they actually moved the ball quickly tonight.
Yep.
And
even that era where they played on, Kaczynski played on with the hand pass, went all over the place. Even out of that wreckage, if you like, they're still able to get a score.
And you can't get back and help Harry Taylor out under these circumstances, because you haven't got time.
Going too quick. Yep.
Interesting too to see Ling on the bench, but Del Santo still out on the field. Back in the middle, McAvoy wins the tap down towards Montagna under pressure. Hand passes to Hayes, now to Milne, getting lots of touches in the middle, but this kick is turned over. Milburn marks, hand passes to Selwood, to Chapman, bang! Chapman's down, huge hip and shoulder by Lenny Hayes. He wins a free kick, Lenny. Advantage paid. Montagna up towards half forward to Kaczynski. Meets it on the bounce. Dispossessed. Milburn grabs it. Hand pass to Corey. He's mown down. There's now a big pack of players half forward for the Saints. Working hard at ground level. Can they get it out? No, they can't. There'll be a bounce. How about the hip and shoulder?
Fantastic.
Lenny Hayes on Chapman.
And Selwood set him up, and he hit him fair and square.
Oh.
That's when you can actually legitimately hurt a player, and he did it fairly.
Left half forward, Lenny Hayes, third man up, good tap defensively to Ray, flicks it over the top to Del Santo, he runs on, he's 60 out, confronted by Ablett, squeezes it for Revolt, and Revolt's got it again in the pocket, and he'll have another shot at goal, Nick Revolt. He started the game absolutely on fire.
Well, is Mackie going to play on him, or is he?
Well, wouldn't have thought, although they might have to rotate off Pete, just for the very point you made before, the athleticism of one is not good enough.
5 marks, 2 goals. Can he make it 3? It's across the face. There, it's a mark. It's a St Kilda mark to McAvoy, is it? It's been paid on the goal line.
Good hands, strong hands from the fella.
Got to work it out.
Now he's deep in the pocket. The umpire did confer with the goal umpire. He's in the right forward pocket. McAvoy shaping with the left foot. Snap! He's missed to the near side. Saints fans were getting excited, but it's just a minor score. So St Kilda now moves along to 4-6-30 to Geelong 3-4-22 at the 28-minute mark of the first term.
These are huge let-offs for the Cats.
Absolutely.
Kick from Milburn to Scarlett in the back pocket. Edges it around the boundary to Enright. There's not a lot ahead, and there's even less to the side. And Enright actually drops the ball as he goes to play on. He is racked with indecision. He kicks to full back, and Milburn is barely a step clear of Revolts. 29 minutes up on the clock. Some 60 seconds to go, and the Cats are looking for the bell. Milburn's kick is no good. He's delivered it straight to Ray. He's not sure whether he could go 50. He won't try. He'll go wide to the target of Del Santo, who's within his range, but it's the sternest of tests.
They're standing up to a technical knockout in about round 3 at the moment, aren't they? They've just got to survive this, to stay on their feet, put their gloves over their ears.
Del Santo nestled on the boundary to inflict some pain on the Cats. He kicks from 46. It's across the face. It's off hands. It's through for another behind. 4-7-31 St Kilda, 3-4-24 Geelong. Tim Hodges.
Jared, not good news for the Cats either. Paul Chapman off the ground, down into the rooms with a left shoulder. He's still in a lot of pain after that massive bump before.
Now Ablett's kicked it out of bounds on the full from the kicking. So another chance for the Saints. McGolder to Graham. He got taken high in the marking contest. So will he have a shot for goal before quarter time? There's the siren. Now Jason Graham's a long kick of the footy. He'll have to kick this close to 60 at left half forward, kicking to the city end.
There's a slingshot.
He's going the torpedo. He's got onto it, but it's out to the left. Out of bounds on the full, and that is quarter time. St Kilda, 4 goals, 7-31, leading Geelong 3-4-22. The goal kickers for the Saints, Revolt has 2, 1 each to Gardner and Kazitsky. For the Cats, it's Barco with 2 and Stokes with 1. St Kilda by 9 points at quarter time.
This is Grandstand AFL on ABC Local Radio, News Radio and Digital Radio.
Grandstand AFL.
Hurry kick inside the 50, clears the lot. Gardner's at the back, open goal. The Saints are on the board. Gilbert drops the mark, Stokes to the drummer. He bounces it at the goal front and hits the target. Kicks to the square. Hawkins hits it hard. Doesn't mark. Barco at the top. Oh, he's threaded the deal from the boundary. That's the classic Geelong move. Dawson's down to Johnson, off to Barco. Kicks on the steps, wins it at goal. Got there.
Hand pass to Goddard from the middle. Long kick. Revolt running back with a flight. Get back in. He marks. He played on. He goes. The St Kilda captain gets his first.
From a step beyond the 50. Kazitsky to put the Saints in front. He has.
Grandstand AFL on ABC Local Radio.
The sounds of the opening term. It's a sweet tune for the Saints. They lead Geelong by 9 points ahead of David Parkin and Peter Schwab. Just another check with Tim Hodges.
Jared, Paul Chapman had about 90 seconds deliberation with the doctors down in the Geelong rooms. He is back out on the ground and looks okay to go with that left shoulder. But just as I looked over, St Kilda are now one man down. Jason Graham down in the rooms with the doctor. I didn't see anything wrong with him, so I will keep you up to date as when he comes out.
Well, I'm looking from a Geelong perspective. You would have been very happy with the way they started. They won the ball. They had enough of it. They were using it. They were clean with their hands. Created some real good opportunities. Stokes got a good crumbing goal. Varco got a fantastic snap. And then after that, it was pretty much St Kilda. And there was some real concern for Geelong in trying to maintain Revolt and Kashitsky. I mean, it's the best I've seen Kashitsky play from a point of view of being a target and the manoeuvrability of the big man. He actually wasn't necessarily clunky in the air. He was getting on his bike and beating Scarlett on the lead. And Revolt was just too good for Taylor and ran him ragged, pushed deep, as you said, into the back line, and then was great enough and quick enough to get back down the other end and mark it. So that those two big targets up forward for St Kilda are really testing Geelong out. I thought the Cats started to lose the ball around the centre bounces, and they were critical. They got 2 goals in a minute, or 2 in 2 minutes from centre bounce clearances. The Saints were just all over them, 11 scoring shots. Seriously, the Cats are lucky to be just 9 points down, and with Chapman getting a pretty heavy hit, there's a little bit of concern, I would think, in the Geelong camp right at the moment. And if they can't get back and start controlling the football, the Saints are up and running.
And they got, I know it lulled into a false sense of security, Pete, but for the first, I think, 10 or 11 minutes I rate here, they dominated the footy. I mean, Geelong did probably what we had. I know Gardner got the quick one over the top and was the first to score, but from that point on, they couldn't get the ball. St Kilda. Geelong won it, flicked it round as they do, used it pretty well. Probably didn't get it a good result with marks inside 50, but they're able to read off and crumb and snap and do all those sorts of things pretty well. And I thought, oh, well, this is going to be a procession. But about somewhere in the middle of that quarter, their footy, the kind of footy the St Kilda people love, the Saints football, tough in the contest, and they got much better at that. Certainly their defensive efforts went through the roof at that time, and for 4 or 5 minutes they just put this intense pressure on the ball carrier for Geelong and were able to win it back. And they won it back, you remember, twice Rewald came into the back half, was able to win ground balls, feed it back to someone facing goal, and then with a long run and quick movement, which I haven't seen from St Kilda at all, and basically through the corridor were able to race people back to get one-on-ones with their two key forwards, Rewald and of course Cozzy.
He's had 8 possessions, 5 marks, David, 2 of them contested. This is Rewald. He's had 4 contested possessions. He's kicked 2 goals, 1. He's been clearly the best player. I agree with Adam. He made a call in the quarter there that Milne, who went into the middle, was starting to find a bit of the football, wasn't he? I mean, he wasn't dominant, but it was a different Stephen Milne.
And there's almost been a cancel out the two. I mean, they've been both great players in some of the things which they've done, but the Selwood versus Hayes, it's like 2 rhinos running at each other. It's absolutely fantastic. A physics, but I think if I'm right, Selwood's had only a couple of disposals, and on the other hand, Hayes has had 5. So, I mean, a 5 at this rate would take Hayes to a 20 possession game, which for him would be significantly less. And for Selwood to get round a dozen possessions, well, Hayes has done his job both ways. Had enough of the ball to hurt them, but stop one of their most significant players going. I was really delighted. I know in the finish, both teams have failed to put it through the goals, and that's hurt St Kilda. They could have been, in my opinion, probably a 3, maybe 3.5 goal better side, maybe even 4 goal better side, had they converted the opportunities they've had, which have come from winning marks, getting free kicks within the range and not being able to put it away. But been a bit of excitement.
No, it's good.
St Kilda have changed their game plan a bit. They've been taking a few more. They've certainly been gentle, what's the word, careful or slow in their build-up when they're deep inside 50. But they've had a rush. From the time it gets out of the defensive 50, they're on their way and through the corridor as often as not.
Paul Callery, give us some of those numbers.
Yes, Jared, it was certainly a quarter of 2 halves. Is that possible? I suppose that's 1/8 of the game each. But the Saints finished up 96 more possessions, Cats 77, but at the halfway mark, the Cats had 19 more possessions. Inside 50s, 11 apiece. Contested possessions, 7 more to the Saints, 32-25, very important. And also at the 20-minute mark, centre clearances were 4, zip to the Cats. Overall now 4 apiece, and that's very important. Ling 9, Chapman 8, Bartel 7, Ablett 6 for the Saints. Fisher 9, Goddard 8, and the Roo 8.
Graham and Chapman both on the field at the commencement of the second term. It's St Kilda 4-7-31, leading Geelong 3-4-22. Second term, Mark Blake starts first ruck against Gardner. Ablett and Jones side by side. Lings with Hayes. Blake wins the tap. Ball to be won though at ground level. Milne won it off the half forward flank. Got dispossessed. Josh Hunt pushes back against him. Trying to release it. Can't. Secondary bounce.
I would suggest this next couple of minutes, Pete, might just put the imprint on. Geelong have now got to recover their poise a bit. They must win some ball and get some early score here.
Those 2 key matchups haven't changed. Scarlett and Kaczynski, Taylor and Rewald from the stoppage. Tapped out near Ablett. Kicked it off the ground up to the wing. Gilbert went without it. Kelly didn't. Hand pass to Steve Johnson. Doubles back through the flow. Hand pass to Kelly to Bartel. Out the back to Hunt. They've got one more on the overlap. That's Milburn. The Cats start from half-back. Kick to Enright. Hand pass to Bartel. Gives it off to Mark Blake and back to Bartel. Inside the 50. Mooney's the target. Couldn't hang on under the pressure. Will get a free kick.
It's a little bit lucky in the end. He dropped the mark, but the guy was committed to the spoil and gave away the free. But this is... I don't fancy Cam from here, really.
Montagna got him head high. Mooney from outside the 50. Sometimes this is his best chance, though.
Less pressure.
Just the full-blooded kick at goal. Mooney unloads. It's a mighty kick. Yes! Oh, and Cam Mooney likes it. Fists up to the crowd. The Cats cut the deficit to 3. 4-4 to 4-7.
Well, next time we're going to like him from there.
Oh, look,
that was a great kick.
No, but Jared's call was right in knowing him. He watches him often up and understands him. But he really, to get the distance, he had to launch into it. Accuracy wasn't even on his mind. He was careering the distance and he collected it beautifully. It was a great kick through the middle, right through the middle. They were all on the line and like dogs salivating, think they're going to get a hand on it, but it just made the distance. Fantastic.
Tim Hodges on the boundary. Selwood and Corey both starting on the bench. Are they okay?
Yeah, I think so, Whitey. And Paul Chapman still doesn't have that left shoulder strap, but does look to be favouring it. The benches for the Cats: Burns, Wojcinski, Selwood and Ottens for the Saints. Peake, McAvoy, Eddie and Blake, and Jason Graham is moving freely for the Saints.
And the Cats go forward through Kelly. He got the hand pass from Ablett inside 50. Hawkins one-on-one with Gwilt. Gwilt with the spoil. Mopped up there by Gilbert. Hand pass to Graham, now to Gwilt. Inboard hand pass again to Gilbert. He gets the hand pass to Jones. Up towards the members' wing. Milne couldn't mark. Spoil from Hunt. Front and centre was Ling. Bangs it back inside 50. Floating in from the side of the pack was Gilbert. Couldn't take the mark. Wilt gets the hand pass for the Saints to Graham. Crashes off one. Gets it back. Doing really well is Graham. Kick though under pressure. Getting a bad bounce. It was Gardner. Lets in Blake. Hand passes out to Bartel. Now to Hunt. Long kick inside 50. Chance for the Cats. Although dropping the mark. Dempster off the ground there by Steve Johnson. Sockers misses everything to the left. Out of bounds. Boundary throw in.
That was funny, Adam, watching the two big Blakes. Gardner wobbles in with clean bowls in, but he slows it down enough for the Blake waddling behind, which is Blake who picked it up. That was quite...
They're both here again. Blake with the tap over the back. St Kilda free kick. Push in the back. Advantage was going to be taken initially by Fish, but it's coming back to Lenny Hayes. He'll take it for the Saints. Last line of defence. 3.5 minutes gone, second term. St Kilda leads by 3 points.
Hayes chooses the southern side because that's where Revolt has broken for him. He's at half-back. Goddard's the short target. And Revolt starts the run back toward the forward line. Goddard looks into the middle. He sees Milne. Revolt is starting to present forward of the middle. Milne, he's wrong-footed himself against Kelly. Revolt has doubled back for him to get it up on the centre line. So Revolt with another possession here. Just not quite sure where to spend it. Sideways to Goddard.
Well, you don't mind Revolt marking on the wing.
Goddard's kick is poor. It lands in no man's land, and Mackey's coming through. Hand pass to Ablett. Tried to get it to Hawkins. Failed. Montagna got in the way. Hand pass for Goddard. Under pressure from Ablett. Good hands, though, to Gwilt. Broke a tackle. Offloaded it to Fisher. Kicks for half forward. Kaczynski presented again. Not this time. Del Santo at ground level's dispossessed. Mackey tries for Bartel. Gets it off to Wojcinski. Poor hand pass. Montagna got in the way. Chapman got it, but Fisher hand passed, and they all pile in, and in the centre of the ground it will be bounced.
I've got mesmerised by Rewold's run. He's passed his opponent, Harry Taylor. He's passed him 4 times. He's got to come back to him and go past him, come back. I just cannot believe the work he's doing.
Garner wins the tap in the middle. Hayes, hand pass, tried to get out of the congestion. Couldn't do so. Kelly, hand pass out towards Ablett. He collected at ground level. Got the hand pass to Enright. Inky little kick is good. He finds Steve Johnson still inside the centre square. But the Cats are forward of centre. Good wide kick to the southern side. Their transfer play. Mackey's marked. Front left corner of the square. Caught on his left. Goes into the pocket. Mooney marks. That was good play from Mackey. Non-preferred foot.
It was, but it was brilliant vision. We talked about Johnson to switch it that far.
Yep.
And hit him. I mean, the 2 kicks were outstanding kicks.
And that's an example of Geelong at their best. Great foot skills. And this is where Mooney needs to nail one out of the box.
Well, he's got his confidence up, having kicked the last goal. A chance to give the Cats the lead. Left forward pocket, 30 out, keeps it low, but he's missed. He's missed to the right. Only a minor score. Geelong 4-5-29, St Kilda 4-7-31. 6 gone, second term.
Well, the rain's getting closer, and the team that's in front would get a significant advantage, Pete, if it comes.
Kick in marked by Goddard. Dabs it out to Del Santo. Part of me wants them to be dead level when the monsoon hits. Del Santo kicks it out to the wing. Jason Blake flies, so too McAvoy. No mark. Corey had a hand pass in the pack, didn't go anywhere. Montagna carries it out of play.
Do you think that's satellite mightn't be right? Do you think that, might be a large flock of
mongoose
birds coming across
Make
Melbourne?
sure you're close to your loved ones in about an hour's time. From the throw-in, Jones coming through the traffic, hand pass to Milne, who breaks out on the members' wing. A couple of bounces, places the kick. Well, McWalter, the marker, was flattened by Mackie. Take your pick. McWalter up with the ball, and he's been called to play on, and he's gone. Ling mowed him down. McWalter didn't realise he'd been called to play on.
Why, because of time?
No, he stepped off his line. The umpire waved his arms, but McWalter didn't think he had.
Good call.
Ling's ball at right half-back. Pass onto the logo for Selwood. He too looks for the transfer of play. He'll get it from the right side of the square to the left for Bartel. Loops it up over the top for Varco. Takes it on the first bounce. Needs some support to run with. Hand passes to Enright. Back with the Milburn. The Saints are playing the flood. Work up the line now for Mackie. Just prepared to be patient, Geelong. And kick it backwards and sideways to Taylor and across the centre square for Scarlets.
Well, that's got to be done movement quickly too. You can't slow the lateral movement down, it doesn't work.
Now with Hunts, who works it back to Bartel.
Someone's got to play on, David. That's the only way you'll break the rhythm.
Yep, yeah. They can't do what St Kilda does. It's not going to work.
Bartel puts it onto the right boot. He goes the long kick, and that plays perfectly into St Kilda's hands as Goddard comes across the front to mark.
He kicks back into the corridor to Ray, who marks and hand passes to Gwilt running past. He kicks out wide to Blake, right half-back. They've worked it well, the Saints. Up to Peake, who marks in front of Mackie. Maybe one more kick over the top to McWalter.
Should have gone. He should have gone. It was too slow.
Bad decision.
So he's still got the ball, Peake, but he had that option 30 metres ahead of him. He goes down the line, revolt the target, gets to the pack, crashes the pack, off hands Farron Ray. Hand pass was good to McWalter. Now to revolt on his left, kicks to centre half forward on the bounce to Montagna. Now to McAvoy, out in front of Milne, he'll get it. He's marked on his chest at left half forward. He'll have a shot for goal from just on the 50. More news down at the bench, Tim Hodges. It's not good for the Cats.
Why do you write Paul Chapman off for a second time and for a second time down into the Cats' rooms complaining about that left shoulder is in a tremendous amount of pain.
Back to Stephen Milne, left half forward, kicking to the punt road end. Just inside the 50. Swings it towards goal. He's got it. Stephen Milne's first. Sorry, Parko. St Kilda 5-7-37. Geelong 4-5-29. 9.5 minutes gone. Second turn.
Well, I know it's only partway through the second quarter, but constructively, both up the field, round centre bounces in front of us on the wing, in the forward line coming up, and now kicking goals. It's the best performance I've seen from Stephen Milne for some time.
Yeah, he's been very good. That was also a very clever kick by McAvoy. He just pulled it nicely if he could run onto it. That's a big loss if Chapman can't come back on.
Tim?
Jared, he's back from the rooms and sitting. To be honest, he's sitting looking pretty glum on the bench, so I'm sure he will come back just because he's gutsy and puts his body on the line, but he's clearly favouring that left shoulder.
St Kilda by 8 points, bounce back in the middle. Montagna first possession, rolls out the kick to half forward. Schneider fumbled. Hayes got caught with it by Enright. The umpire circles and says he'll bounce. So the Chapman hit, he got cleaned up by Lenny Hayes in a perfectly fair and brilliantly executed hip and shoulder to inflict the maximum legal damage. Ottens wins the tap, peeks onto the footy for the Saints. Andy breaks clear. Hand pass to Goddard, looks inside the forward line, kicks in the Kaczynski direction. It's an ordinary old kick. Mackie gets there to cut it off. Down the line looking for Ablett. Hayes intercepts. Hand pass to Fisher to Montagna to Revolt. Gets it onto the left boot. Long in the Milne direction. He and Hunt wrestle. Free kick to Milne. Hunt's had the arm draped around the neck.
Yeah, he did. He's shaky one-on-one when it comes in, Hunt, at the moment. He didn't have to do that. That was silly.
Milnes kicked one from the left. Now he's out on the right. 35 out. Milnes 2 in a minute. St Kilda by 14. 6-7-43 to Geelong, 4-5, 29, 12 minutes played of the second.
I thought early in the quarter, up until Milne kicked that goal, Geelong had the better of, steadied again in that first 6 minutes. The last 3 minutes, though, Saints are better in the clinches.
Have we?
Better around the centre bounce area. And Geelong defenders are really struggling one-on-one when that ball comes in.
The rain has reached Melton, the outer northwestern suburbs of Melbourne. And when it comes, it'll stay. And at the moment, the Saints are 14 points up, and that could be priceless come half-time if that lead remains. Back in the middle with Gardner and Ottens. Ottens wins it down to Varco, dispossessed. Ablett there as well. Hand pass, a little hit and hope more than anything else. Goddard collected, but he was tackled. Will have a secondary bounce.
Well, that's the classic, isn't it? Goddard was there were 3 Geelong players, and Goddard seemed to be in the worst position. He just made up his mind he wasn't going to concede and took the ball and the 3 blokes on. Fantastic for him.
Milne comes off for a break. Ottens grabs it out of the ruck. Hand passes to Selwood. The kick to half forwards, no good. Mark taken by Gilbert, and he hits the ground running, and he kicks it inside 50. Kazitsky caught out of position. Scarlett dropped the mark he should have taken. Kazitsky fights hard at ground level, but he's given away a free kick. A push in the back. Scarlett to take the ball. Last line of defence.
They are uncharacteristically fumbling Geelong and panicking down back.
He's told to play on Scarlett. No one really offering anything, so he goes long to a one-on-one. Ottens with Goddard. Goddard held Ottens' arm, and Ottens will take the free kick. The Geelong ruckman at right half-back. Again kicks down the line. Wants Hawkins. Gwilt, test of strength, but Hawkins took the mark. Told to play on, then throws it to Stokes. Also told to play on. Stokes gets the hand pass to Kelly. Inside 50. Bartel couldn't take the mark. Off hands, boundary throw in. Deep in Geelong's right forward pocket as they kick down to the city end, or the Ponsford stand end. Gilbert looks injured too. We'll go to Tim Hodges shortly. Boundary throwing, it's shallow. Gardner wins the tap down. Hayes gets the hand pass out to Sam Fisher. Dinks a little hand pass over the top to Del Santo. He kicks to Montagna, who marks at halfback for the Saints as they tack down the members' side.
Montagna pauses. Goddard is on down the line. Montagna was looking backward when that option opened up, and he kicks it to Gwilt, who will return the ball to fullback. Dempster playing deep. Out into the right back pocket now for Dawson. Chapman returns to the field of play. Dawson from the back pocket. Kicks it round the southern side, hoping for the best. Fisher was in the pack. McWalter worked out a hand pass. Eddie onto it. Hand pass to Peake. Gives it to Gardner, down to Montagna. The Saints off half back. Kick in the Milne direction. Hunt gets there with Goddard as well. Ling gave it up at the drop. Goddard has it to Del Santo. Back to Peake. Hand pass to Goddard, gives it to Peake. No forward progress there. Kicks across the centre square for Gardner. On the overlap now, Fisher. He can pump them deep forward. Kazitsky and Milne in best place. Milne at the back, played on. Kick is third. St Kilda by 20. 7-7 to 4-5. Halfway through the second.
He gave up there, Hunt.
Well, he did, didn't he?
He gave up. His body language has given up.
Terrible.
Get him off Milne.
Yep.
Gets, where's Wojcinski?
Somebody with speed.
Somebody's got some leg speed. Because if you... They would have thought Hunt might have matched him for strength and body work, but he's actually been obliterated by Milne.
Well, Petey's run up past him to win the ball ahead of him. He's run with the ball. He's run past him on the way back. In the cut marking contest, he's been stronger. He's moved the body, and he's kicked some delightful goals, Milne. I mean, really have been beautifully executed kicks that only he could do.
Back in the middle with Blake and also Gardner. Gardner jumped high and won the tap down, but it's anyone's foot in the middle. Montagna did well. Hand passed it out to Schneider. Kick to Kazitsky. He's a chance. Spoiled though, came from Milburn. Front of the pack, it's Mackie. Hand passing to Corey. Confronted by Eddie. Caught on his left foot in the end. Kick out towards the southern wing. Selwood has to beat 2. He can't do that. Hayes collects for the Saints. Hand passes to Graham. Now to Peake. 70 out. Kick towards McAvoy. Scarlett with a spoil. At the back of the pack, it's Enright cleaning up. Got to get the hand pass. It's okay. And linking up with a couple of little hand passes. Chapman to Mackie in the end. To the middle. Goddard one-on-one with Ablett. Ablett slipped over. Goddard won the footy. Kicks back inside 50. McAvoy will mark it. He's marked it left half forward at the 50. Kicking to the punt road end. Del Santo runs on. Wants it in the pocket. McAvoy kicks it to him. Del Santo marks it.
What is Ling doing? Ling's running in the corridor, think they're going to play in the corridor, and Stoutt's pointing to everybody else to pick up his man. They're all worried about theirs. He was the only bloke who's free, running loose into the corridor. Here's his man having a shot at goal, uncontested from him, 40 metres away. Ling is not playing well.
Marks inside 50, Parko. 15 St Kilda, Geelong 2 for the match.
Annihilating them.
Del Santo deep in the left forward pocket, kicking to the punt road end. The Saints currently 20 points up. A chance to make it 26. It's out to the right though. A let off there, missing across the face. So St Kilda moves along to 7.850 to Geelong 4.529 at the 17-minute mark.
I noticed Jared still got his jumper on, but he's put a coat over the top.
Hodges.
Sam Gilbert given the all clear for the Saints, had his right knee looked at. Nick Rewalt was desperate to get back on the ground when he saw how buggered Harry Taylor was. He is out of petrol tickets at the moment, guys. Half-time cannot come quick enough for Harry Taylor.
Long kick in. Rewalt paid a free kick with Taylor holding onto him. St Kilda with it 70 out from goal. Revolt's going to put it considerably closer, sets it up high. Hunt had the unimpeded run at it, took the mark for the Cats in defence, feeds it off to Virginski, now out to Johnson, nowhere to go, kicks hopingly around the southern wing, mark taken by Mooney was a good one too, up quickly down the line for Stokes as they try to ignite the running game. Stokes hand pass to Burns inside the 50 for Hawkins. Good hands out in front of Wilkes.
Had to go wide, but the ball movement was pretty good.
It was good. From Hunt's very strong mark in the pack situation, revived his game a bit on the back of that. Yeah, I know it is wide, Pete, but it was good control of the ball from end to end.
Tom Hawkins kicked it behind in the opening term. He's out on the boundary at left half forward. Hawkins, tough angle, 45 from goal. Thumps it near side. Behind, it's St Kilda by 20. 7-8 to 4-6. 19 minutes gone at the second on Grandstand AFL.
And Hodgie Gilbert back on the field, so he's definitely right to go. Kicks to himself, Goddard. Then in a little bit of a troubling situation deep in the back pocket. He has to kick long as a result. Out towards the boundary, off hands. No, it stays in. Graham, no, he can't keep it in. It's out of bounds. Left half forward for the Cats out on the southern side. 19 and a half minutes gone in the second term. And it's St Kilda by 20 points. Throw in. Blake wins it to the front. Graham grabbed it, then was immediately tackled. A pack results, and there'll be another bounce. Still at left half forward for the Cats. Bartel throws the ball back to the umpire. Bounce of the footy. A lot of wrestling going on in the ruck duel. Bartel hand pass to Ling. Caught on his right foot. Kicks it inside 50. Hawkins again. Couldn't mark Sport to Quilt. Comes to Chapman. High kick. 30 metres out. Kelly couldn't get a run at it. And Sam Gilbert's taken the mark. It'll have to come back because it's a mark, not a free kick. So Gilbert kicks it out to Milne, but again it has to come back as the umpire sets the mark.
Well, Dawson, his own teammate, walked through the thing that slowed. I mean, that's dumb football. Slowed his own teammate from playing on.
But they've still got a loose player. It's Ray who marks at left half back members side of the MCG. 20 minutes gone here in the second quarter with the Saints by 20 points. The kick back to fullback, and there's Stephen Milne who marks the Ray kick. He could go back to Ray or go longer. He's going the longer option, which is McAvoy. Revolt also there, off hands, out of bounds for a boundary throw-in. 70 metres out from Geelong's goal. Right half forward as they attack down to the city end, or the Ponsford stand end in this second term.
Boundary throw-in on its way into play. Knocked to the front by the ruckman. Otten's on the follow-up. Hand pass to Bartell, to Kelly, to Chapman. Out the back to Corey. He's able to creep up on half forward and, in fact, dash there and deliver perfectly inside the 50 to the lead of Cameron Mooney.
Schneider's, he's annoyed with himself because he created that because he couldn't quite hang on to Corey, who's slipped through.
Beautiful kick, Pete.
They need this. I know it's an understatement, but they absolutely need this.
Mooney's directly in front, a little closer than the one he landed at the start of the term. From 46 metres out, Mooney's contact is excellent. And the Cats do peg one back. 5-6-36, trailing St Kilda 7-8-50, 22 gone of the second.
Shows you why tackles are important, Dave.
Are they ever? Yeah. And if they don't stick, particularly, and the player gets time and space to deliver, that was a beautiful kick. Absolutely ripper to a big man flat out on the lead. He didn't have to break stride, just took it beautifully in front of him. Yeah, that's against, like been said, that's against the play.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think St Kilda were fairly much in control and gave that one up, I thought, fairly easily, as you say, by a very, very poor effort to tackle by Schneider.
Back to 14 points, 22 gone second term. Otten's in ruck this time against McAvoy. McAvoy wins the top, but a secondary little tap from Otten's is good to Ablett. On his left, kicks it inside 50. Varco caught out of position. Ray tried to mark but couldn't. Off hands, he got the hand pass back to Fisher though. To Gilbert all by hand. Now to Gwilt. Good kick to McAvoy, who's marked it in the right back pocket as the Saints switch from the members' side to the southern side. McAvoy told to play on. He'll kick up towards Revolt, who marks in front of Taylor. Taylor came late with a spoil, but Revolt had completed the mark. Right half back, southern side. He goes short to Hayes. Just feel that Saints are trying to hold possession.
Yeah, they'll run.
Go and Schwabby before half-time.
They'll run the clock down a little bit. They won't be panicked into it.
Well, they've got the lead. Hayes kicks long. Huge pack of players. Up high, Mackie with the spoil. Off the ground, it comes St Kilda's way. It's Schneider, forward of the wing. Kicks to Maguire, who marks at the 50. All alone, too. He plays on. Hand passes to Goddard. 50 out. You know he'll make the distance. And he gets the accuracy. That's a crucial goal. Kicked by a very, very good player. And the Saints are back out to 20 points. 8-8-56. Geelong 5-6-36. 24 gone second term.
I think the error from Mackie.
Oh, it was.
He kicked it clear of a contest straight to Schneider, and that just set it up.
He had a chance to control the ball. Got to give Goddard his due. He's basically played wing and defensive, but he has the capacity to run forward, and a marvellous goal kick, a quick decision to give it off to him. Fantastic.
And Goddard had one possession up to the 15-minute mark of the first quarter. He's now had 19.
Unbelievable.
Yep. Kelly's had the job on him on the wing.
Yes.
Now he's just dropping back in the hole.
Saints by 20. McAvoy and Otten's to contest. 3 minutes left in the half. Otten's guides it over his head, looking for Ablett. Caught in the tackles. Hand passed out to the wing for Corey. Hooks it around the body up to half forward. It's cleared Stokes. He goes back and contests against Goddard. Saints, though, had it at the drop. McAvoy to Hayes. Bounces it to half forward. Well, they just stayed off it for a moment, the Cats' defence. Corey, though, gathers without further alarm. Hand pass to Milburn. Oh, terrible kick into the midfield. Cut off by Ray. Hand passed over his head was probably a poor play. They pile in on the edge of the circles, and there it will be bounced.
Well, that's where he had to make a quick decision to go forward to a one-on-one. I know Rewald wasn't free, but to go back and give them another access to the ball, Ray, that was a terrible give up.
In the centre of the G. Again, Ottens and McAvoy. They go to ground together after Ottens won the initial tap, and there it stays.
So about 2 minutes remaining before half-time. The margin currently 20 points. Can the Saints just edge out over 4 goals, or will Geelong again close the gap? Or will it stay at 20 points? Ottens wins the tap. Del Santo kick, not far at all. Chapman, left foot kick 20 metres, and Dempster marks for the Saints. Too easy, and then really for Dempster, he's kicked to Goddard. He misses the target of Goddard. Now he has to go and retrieve a bouncing footy. He did well, and the left foot kick was delightful down the line. And Sam Fisher marks at left half back. Looks further up towards Blake, who marks again on the lead, out in front of Hunt, as the Saints search for half-time. Blake looks up, defensive side of the members' wing. 26 gone second term. Long kick. Revolt has the run at it. He flies, but there's a free kick off the play, and it's going to Watkins. Milburn wants to play on, but the play had stopped, and the ball must go back to Brad Ottens at half-back right. Members' side. Hand passes to Taylor, who looks up. He looks tired, Taylor. He goes short to Chapman. I reckon the Cats look tired. They don't want any late goals, it looks like. They're just trying to hold on here. Chapman kicks back dangerously to centre-half back. Wojcinski marked as Schneider came late, and it's 50. Schneider held on for too long, and maybe the Cats will have one last chance.
Well, you want to give him a kick in the backside, Schneider. One poor attempt to tackle cost him a goal, and a totally undisciplined, unnecessary hang on to the player might just cost him another.
Now, Wojcinski's gone short to Corey, front part of the square, too far out to score. Not long to go until half-time. All St Kilda players are ahead of him. He hand passed to Taylor. Dinky little kick inside 50, but Montagna read it well, and he's taken the mark. No, it's called touched. And there'll be a bounce. 40 metres out from the Geelong goal in the corridor. Montagna can't believe that wasn't paid.
Time enough for a goal at either end. There's going to be a free kick in the ruck against Ottens, going the way of Gardner.
So they need to hang on now.
Yep, they have control of the ball, 30 out from defensive goal. Gardner places it to Peake. And he'll kick it backwards to Del Santo. There are options across the face of goal. Milne is camped at fullback. Making space for him as Dawson. Milne stays in the right back pocket. And Del Santo has it again. With barely 15 seconds on the clock.
Not even attempting to get a man East Geelong. They're so tired they can't even think about it, let alone do it.
Long out to half-back, marking contest, none forthcoming. Peake pulls it out of the clearance. He's able to work the kick up the line, and that is half-time. And it's a half that sees St Kilda fans rise from their seats full of hope. They have dominated Geelong and established a 20-point lead with Armageddon on the horizon. 8-8-56 the Saints. The Cats 5-6-36. A 9-point lead at quarter time grows to 20 at the main break with a 4-goal-to-2 quarter. Goal kickers, Milne kicked 3, all in that term. Revolt 2, singles to Gardner, Goddard and Kazitsky. For Geelong, 2 to Varco, 2 to Mooney and 1 to Stokes. On Grandstand AFL, it is St Kilda by 20 points at half-time of the second qualifying final. David Parkin, Peter Swan.
Well, can I say, we talked about the change that came over the game about midway through 11 or 12 minute mark of the first quarter, where somehow St Kilda resurrected totally their football that we've got so used to them playing. They just upped the ante in contests that I haven't seen from them for weeks. They started to close down the opposition with the pressure and the tackle and the chase and the frustrate and the hit, like the Hayes hit early in the piece, which has taken Chapman out of business. I mean, they've just... You talk about turning things around, and we put a poo-pooed that a bit before the game, but St Kilda are right back to the kind of footy that I remember them well in the previous season, which they've not produced up until now. And quite frankly, Geelong are wilting a bit in terms of the physical capacity to keep up with them. I think that classic contest between Rewald and Taylor is it. He keeps running past Taylor. He runs up to lead. He comes back past him. He goes up again. Taylor just can't get with him. When Taylor has shown, like, got a ball a few minutes ago, could hardly raise the effort to kick it 15 or 20 metres to his mate off the side of his boot. It's been a terrific contest in that sense, and I'm surprised, like most, that St Kilda at the moment are holding sway, both in play and on the scoreboard.
Well, 20 points is a great buffer for them if that rain comes, but regardless of where that rain comes, you just look at both sides. It's hard to find a lot of winners for Geelong. Uncharacteristically poor down back, particularly in one-on-one situations. Hunt was just torn apart by Milne, and even Scarlett we saw drop a mark, and he looked fragile. They just Bulldogs, they just can't get their run going. Ablett's trying hard, but no real influence. Selwood haven't sided. If they can't get an engine room midfield going, they're in deep, deep trouble.
And Shaw, you mentioned a couple of players there from Geelong in defence. I'm very surprised that St Kilda's been able to get 8 goals to half-time. That's 16 scoring shots, in fact, to half-time. That's probably surprising considering the way we've seen St Kilda play a lot in the last month.
More the manner which has been done. It's the marks inside 50 that we expect. Geelong have been dominant in the competition over 4 seasons at being able to mark the ball unopposed, basically, their front half. They've taken 3 or 4, and I reckon St Kilda must be up to 11 or 12 of those, Doc, by half-time. That's sort of unheard of.
16-2 with about 3 or 4 minutes to go before
16-2. Well, that's incredible imbalance, and if you're going to win games, that's what you've got to do. They might have mucked that up a bit with inaccuracy, but 8-8, a 50% scoring rate is probably acceptable in a game of this kind of pressure.
Half-time at the MCG. It is St Kilda by 20 points over Geelong. More to come, including sports of all sorts, the scores on this Friday night. But right now, the latest bulletin from the ABC Newsroom with Jim Graham.
Great, thanks, Gerard. The 3-country federal independent MPs appear unfazed by the pressure to declare their support for either party in a hung parliament. Simon Cullen has more from Parliament House.
The coalition is putting intense pressure on the 3 MPs not to back a Labor government. It says the move would be inconceivable. But the independent MP, Tony Windsor, says he's not going to be pressured by what other people think.
I'm not going to be railroaded one way or the other, so people can say what they like.
The North Queensland MP, Bob Catter, says it's still possible the 3 independents will vote in different ways.
If my 2 colleagues were to go the other way, I'm still in a very powerful position here.
Mr Catter says the former Prime Minister, Kevin Rudd, has urged him to back Labor in the interests of continuity. Simon Cullen, ABC News, Canberra.
The Immigration Department has increased staff and security at the Darwin Detention Centre after 2 protests this week. About 120 Indonesian men rioted for 2 days. Over the time, they've been detained without charge for alleged people smuggling. A group of asylum seekers from Afghanistan then broke out of the centre to stage a peaceful protest. The department's Sandy Logan says the perimeter fence damaged by the Afghan men has been fixed and other repairs are now being carried out.
We're very confident that the arrangements that have been put in place subsequent to these recent protest actions by the detention services provided with increased security and increased staffing will address all of the concerns that the Darwin community might have, and more importantly, address the concerns that all Australians, including the department, will have.
Actor Paul Hogan is free to leave Australia after reaching an agreement with the Australian Tax Office. Hogan, who now lives in the United States, was recently served with a departure prohibition order when he arrived in Australia for his mother's funeral. He denies he owes millions of dollars in taxes. His lawyer, Andrew Robinson, says after negotiations, Hogan is allowed to fly back to Los Angeles.
A part of the agreement included the provision of security. Beyond that, the parties have agreed not to engage in comment or to disclose any of the terms of the agreement, and I must honour that.
The lawyer for a mentally ill Perth woman who killed her twin babies says her condition may mean she's never released from a psychiatric facility. Joanna Manar reports.
Rita Ariaratnam was sentenced to 3 years jail for drowning her 7-month-old son and daughter at the family's Cloverdale home in July last year. The Supreme Court was told she suffered bipolar disorder, which was made worse by their birth. She tried to commit suicide when they were 6 weeks old, and on the day of the killings, she'd again planned to take her own life. She's serving her sentence at a psychiatric hospital, and with parole and time already served, she could be released in 4 months. But her lawyer, Terry Dobson, says she's still very ill.
There is no guarantee that Rita will ever be well enough to rejoin the community.
Ariaratnam is now estranged from her husband.
Thunderstorms are bringing heavy rain and causing strong winds over a wide area of South Australia. The Weather Bureau says the storms will intensify as the system moves into the state's southeast. The highest rainfall reported so far has been 78 millimetres at Lee Creek in South Australia's north. Local service station attendant Tracy Kelly says there's been minor flooding.
Our driveway was just like a big swimming pool. Apparently the train couldn't get across the crossing for about half an hour, and our creeks are running, which means that no one can head south or north.
Adelaide has had 27 millimetres of rain. And emergency services are preparing for extensive flooding in Victoria's west and northeast, with heavy rain expected overnight. More from Frith Kennedy.
The Weather Bureau expects up to 150 millimetres of rain to fall on already wet ground and swollen rivers. Bureau specialist Phil King says the storm could be the state's most significant weather event in 15 years.
Well, it's quite an intense low-pressure system, and it's bringing really tropical rain with it.
Maureen Cottam, who lives on the Broken River near Benalla, has shifted her cattle to higher ground.
I'm going out there soon to shift a mob. You just put them up onto the higher ridges and make certain the gates are open.
The SES expects the centre of Ballarat to be flooded and has boats on standby to move anyone who becomes stranded.
And finally, the motto of the post office in Canada is neither sleet nor snow will stop the mail from getting through. But something else has managed to suspend mail delivery in one Calgary suburb. The ABC's Dan Karpenchuk has the story.
Dogs are usually considered a postal worker's worst enemy. But in the Calgary neighbourhood of Bayview, a hawk with a 1-metre wingspan has been trying to take a chunk out of a postwoman. An official with Canada Post says the hawk has taken a particular dislike to one employee, nosediving at her much like a fighter jet. The attacks became so bad that she resorted to wearing a bicycle helmet, but the hawk broke it. The postwoman has often been seen hiding under a tree or in someone's garage. Mail service has been suspended to about 150 homes. Conservation officers refuse to remove the nest, saying the hawks will soon head south for the winter. Dan Karpenchuk, ABC News, Toronto.
And that's the latest in ABC News.
Great Australian Rabbit Stories from ABC Books is a marvellous collection of true life tales that give a remarkable insight into life on the land, as seen through the eyes of those who've been at the front line of Australia's relentless battle with the rabbit. Full of heart, humour, sadness and adventure, these stories perfectly capture the Aussie spirit. Great Australian Rabbit Stories is available now from ABC shops, centres, good bookshops and online.
Grandstand AFL.
Mooney unloads. It's a mighty kick. Yes! Now Mooney likes it. Fists up to the crowd.
Hand pass was good to McWalter. Now to Revolt on his left. Kicks to centre half forward on the bounce to Montagna. Now to McAvoy. Out in front of Milne. He'll get it. Just inside the 50. Swings it towards goal. He's got it.
Hand pass to Fisher, to Montagna, to Revolt. Hits it onto the left boot. Long in the Milne direction. Hand wrestle. Free kick to Milne. 35 out. Milne 2 in a minute. Kaczynski and Milne in best place. Milne at the back. Played on. Kick is third.
Situation deep in the back pocket. He has to kick long as a result. Out towards
Grandstand AFL on ABC Local Radio.
Half-time and the rain has arrived at the MCG. People scrambling for ponchos. Not a lot of shelter to be had at a game where all the seats have been sold as reserved. But it's going to be a wet second half. St Kilda with a 20-point lead over Geelong. 8-8-56 to 5-6-36 to the main break. Multiple goal kickers. Milne with 3, Revolt 2 for the Cats, Varco and Mooney 2 each. Other scores tonight in the NRL early in the second half. The Canberra Raiders looking to lock up a place in the 8 and knock the Broncos out of finals contention for the first time in 19 seasons. It's the Raiders 12 to the Broncos 4. Gold Coast 13 with a 1-point lead over the West Tigers 12. That's also early in the second half. In the A-League tonight, Central Coast Mariners 1, Melbourne Victory 0 at half-time. Griffiths with... Just take that back off me. Griffiths headed in a free kick from the near post for the Mariners. So they lead the Victory 1-0. David Parkin and Peter Schwab have resumed their positions, ordered their thoughts. What do you reckon?
Well, the first thing we should say that the Weather Bureau was 3.5 minutes out. that it's arrived. It was supposed to arrive at the start of the third quarter, but it's arrived in half-time. And it's quite... what's the word? Drizzly rain at this stage. It's not belting down, but certainly there's a cover on the ground now that even the young boys in the Oz kick are having trouble controlling the ball. So I'm not sure that will happen at senior level, but it won't be an easy second half to play because the conditions were perfect for the initial part of this game, and the players played according, pressure and school and all that sort of thing. This will, I don't know about the mindset. I probably think St Kilda would be happier, although everybody claims that Geelong's football's been played best of all teams in the wet.
Parko, can I ask a question about the weather? Now that St Kilda's got this 20-point lead, can you still play that slow tempo footy trying to find targets down the line when it's wet, or do they have to try and simplify things a little bit? Will they get into trouble if they start being precise if the weather comes?
Well, let's give them their due. I might be wrong here, and I'd be interested in Pete's comment. They've played on more tonight than I think at any stage that I can remember for a long time. They haven't been as deliberate or methodical or patient in their build-up. They have when it's been required at the end of quarters, both at the end of the first and the second quarter, and I thought they did that quite well. But I think they're geared to play a football that will suit the conditions. I don't think anything will change. If you think about Geelong under pressure because of the handling they do, usually the highest handball to kick ratio in the competition, that you think that might in these conditions hurt them if the pressure that St Kilda have tonight finally have showed that they can apply as they did in previous years. If that continues on, it might make Geelong's efforts to bridge the gap and to control the ball and to kick some easy goals just a little more difficult. That would be my view.
I just think they're in real trouble. I know they're a great side and 20 points isn't insurmountable, but gee, they'd want to be playing a lot better than what they showed in that first half. There were some nice little patches, but probably they too far apart. And the Saints, I agree with you. I think they've won more critical football. If you can look at statistics, sometimes you look at contested ball, but I think when the ball's been in a position where it's going to be very decisive who can win it, they've won that more often. And it's come at centre bounce situations. The back half, I think the Saints have been much better down back, much more able to run the ball out and rebound from defence. Where Geelong have traditionally been good in their defence, tonight they're shaky and they've been caught a lot one out. They haven't been able to get back and help each other out, which suggests to me that St Kilda have moved the ball a bit quicker, because generally you can push back if they're slow in their ball movement. But one-on-one in their defensive half, they've been outdone.
Well, Pete, when you look at this, would be an unbelievable performance profile of the Geelong team at any stage. With 5 or less possessions at half-time, we have the names of Mooney, Scarlett, Selwood, Taylor. We might think Varco's basically playing from the forward pocket up, and Blake's on and off the bench, Ruckman and Burns. But to have 3 of their very, very best players, 2 particularly in Scarlett and Selwood, to have touched the ball less than 5 times at this stage is sort of unheard of. Now, they're so good that you would suggest that on the back of a couple of their great players who would be so, disappointed, upset, frustrated by what they haven't done, they might stand up and deliver after half-time.
I don't think the rain will help Cozzy, but he's just got to get his hands on the ball. He has this great first quarter where he's let up, he's looked dangerous, and then he doesn't touch it in the second quarter, and that's my criticism of Cozzy. He can show such good form and then such poor form in the course of a half.
And Milne a bit the same way. Milne has the capacity.
Well, Milne didn't touch it in the first. Hardly touched it in the first quarter, I don't think, by memory. No, he did. Remember, he went in the middle.
He did.
But he actually chopped Hunt up, who gave in on that last mark. His body language was terrible. So that, I'm just wondering, David, how are they going to win the game, Geelong?
Well, their midfield have actually been, Bartel, Chapman, Ling and Ablett have still been the most prolific ball getters.
I know Ling's got the ball, but he's done nothing with it.
I don't think Ling's been a dominant player at all in terms of the results of his effort.
Ablett's been all right without really setting the play up. I think they've won the footy, but they've never cut through the lines and broken the play up. And unless they can do that, I just don't know how they're going to win.
No, well, as they finished, and I guess they were just controlling the ball, St Kilda, but what disappointed me most of all, there wasn't an effort or a capacity of individual players of Geelong to even get onto an opponent. They gave up and just said, well, we'll just play out time. We won't try and win the ball back. We won't force them into error, and they just played out the quarter. That looked to me almost a done mentally and physically side just before half-time.
Goddard slaughtered them on the wing. and they left Kelly on him all the time. You know, I mean, Goddard just, as I think Paul called it, he just went back into the defence when it suited him, and then he pushed forward on one occasion, kicked a goal. He's been outstanding.
Paul, give us the rest of the numbers to the half.
Yes, Jared. Well, what a turnaround. The Saints now have had 36 more possessions, 199 to 163. The Saints have had 28 more marks from many kicks. Geelong 3 more inside 50s, 23 to 20. But of course, it was well and truly in Geelong's favour in the first quarter, or first half of the first quarter. Contested possessions, Saints 60, Cats 51. 27 hardball gets to the Saints to 21 to the Cats, and clearances were much better by the Saints. It's now 18 to 16, just slightly in favour of the Cats. David mentioned the ratio of handballs to kicks. Well, the Cats have had 80 handballs and 83 kicks, so it's fairly much 50-50, whereas the Saints have had 82 handballs and 117 kicks. But if I get back to the right screen here, I'll be able to tell you that the main possession winners are Jimmy Bartell for the Cats with 16, Ling 13, Chapman 13, Kelly 12 and Ablett 12. Back to the other side, though, for the Saints, Goddard, as I said, he had in one possession up to the 15-minute mark of the first quarter, now with 20. Sam Fisher 16, Rewald 40. But let's look at the other things that Rewald's done. He's had 8 marks, 5 contested possessions. Lenny Hayes with 12 is doing a really good job. 8 contested possessions. Mentioned Selwood, 4 possessions and only 1 contested possession. So that's where they actually are losing out. Freeze 4, Saints doing well with 10 to the Cats 6. Jared.
And it's St Kilda by 20 points, 8-8-56 to Geelong 5-6-36, with the teams back out and the rain now solidly falling.
On the basis that Geelong actually went into their 53 more times, 23 to 20, Doc, what did that marking we talked about, was it 18 to 2 at some stage?
Inside
50 marks
yes.
is about 18 to 2. That's incredible. You could go in as often as that. In fact, more often than your opponents take 2 marks. We wouldn't have ever seen that as a performance profile of Geelong. Not from Geelong.
Not when they're number one team for doing it. And it's a big, we talk about stats. That's a huge stat, marking the ball inside your 50.
Huge.
Tim Hodges is in the front row now in the rain. Hodgie.
Hello, Jared. That was so much for my forecast for no rain, but we spoke about how tropical it was pre-match, how warm it was down on the boundary, and just the size of these drops is enormous. So if this is anything like we're going to get for the next 24 to 36 hours, then it's going to be a very, very wet town and very wet state by the sounds of things. The benches for the third term for the Cats, Selwood, Milburn, Blake and Burns, and the Saints just getting in their huddle at centre half forward now, boys.
Jared, you just wonder whether there is something wrong with Joel Selwood, because of course he didn't play last week. Everyone thought it was just that he was rested, but starting the second quarter, starting the third quarter on the bench, maybe there is a problem with him. Well, I've never seen Selwood play like this.
We didn't even think of that, and that we've got to be fair to him. We're not slaughtering him at all, because his effort has been good. He just hasn't had any control over the game.
Well, what's his problem?
Well, it was just rested last week. It was one of those general soreness ones, so I'm not really too sure. I'm not saying he is, but it's just so uncharacteristic.
Well, it's unusual if they're starting him on the bench. And Hayes, they've gone head-to-head, so Hayes has obviously had the better of that duel.
Yeah, and the Hayes hit on Chapman, although I see Chapman's recovered pretty well. He's certainly been a reasonable ball getter without having, I think, a massive impact on the...
Look, I think the players who they want to win the ball are winning the ball, but it's what they actually have done with it.
Yep, I think that's a fair comment.
So players heading to their positions to begin the second half. The flags just flapping away on top of the scoreboard, and the scene is quite eerie with the rain falling heavily now under the floodlights of the MCG. St Kilda to the Jollymont end in this third term with a 20-point lead. It is stacked to their advantage. Adam White.
It's the premiership quarter, Adam. This is the one. It'll be all over by three-quarter time.
Thrown up in the middle. No one really won it down. First possession to Kelly for the Cats. High kick. They'll pay the mark. Off hands. It's a big sprawl there from Gardner towards Revolt in front of Taylor. Knocked off the footy. Corey for the Cats. Immediately tackled. It comes out towards Del Santo. Hurry kick partially smothered. Hayes dives in and gets a free kick. He went low, he went hard, and he wins the free kick for the Saints.
That's a bit tough, I reckon. He caused the whole thing to happen.
Yeah,
Put his head down and just ran into it, hoping that he'd get whacked around the ears. He had a 100% chance of getting whacked around the ears.
It does look like Ablett's injured too, as Hayes goes up towards Revolt. Couldn't quite take the mark. Jones with the crumbs for the Saints. Right foot kick into the pocket. Revolt a chance. The ball's bouncing. It's bouncing. It's gone home. Oh, the Saints! A crucial goal to start the third term. A little bit of luck involved, but you make your own luck, and the Saints are out by 26 points. Try and explain that one, Paco.
An unlikely converter in Jones. I thought that Revolt would have to get to it and kick it off the ground, but he actually just sort of shepherded it, rounded up and cuddled it through, didn't he?
I'll tell you what, you know your night's not on when that happens. That was just lucky.
The score, Geelong 5-6-36, St Kilda 9-8-62. Gary Ablett too got injured in that exchange, and Jones is his opponent.
He got the bump right on the knee, Ablett. Hayes' head actually, you'll laugh at me, but it literally headbutted Ablett's knee. And Hayes wins the follow-up clearance, kicks up to centre half forward, paddled off the ground by Enright. It's a slug already. Del Santo pulls it clear, hoists it to full forward. Scarlett gets in better position and marks against Kaczynski. Scarlett from fullback. His eyes darted right. Takes a sustained look in that direction now.
Manned up well, St Kilda.
And Scarlett will have to kick to a contest, and St Kilda have it absolutely covered. Three of them could have grappled it. Goddard marks, kicks sideways. McQualter slips in and takes the mark. He hand passes it centre half forward to Fisher. Kicks for Montagna, it cleared him. Revolt hits it on the bounce. Hand pass to Graham, too far out. He prods it out into the pocket, and Milne is up to mark. Right forward pocket.
Good kick by Graham, weighted it beautifully, but Milne's been outstanding.
He's been great tonight, yeah.
He's a great kick. I'll back him from here.
I reckon Harry Taylor's a great player, but he's just lagging along on the end of the rope, isn't he? Just cannot go with it.
Milne has kicked three already. This is from 35. He's pushed it across the face of goal, and it is a behind.
I'll get one
Kilda
right.
by 27.
I promise I'll get one right by the end of the night.
Usually so good too, Shelby.
Well, maybe you kick three straight in the second quarter.
Enright kicks it back into play. It's a short pass to Taylor. And he goes onto his left foot, kicking towards Bartel, has to stretch for it, he marks. He plays on, hand passes to Selwood back on the field, left foot kick under pressure, turnover, Ray grabs it, hand passes to Graham, a 30-metre hand pass to McWalter, immediately tackled by Kelly. Ball comes to Bartel, hand pass to Chapman to Wajinski, good tackle Hayes, comes to Chapman though, he hand passes to Corey, they're under all sorts of pressure, the Cats. Corey hand pass to Wajinski, to Kelly, he was under pressure, hand passes to Chapman, who just kicks it up in the air. Hawkins on the chest marks it. Good mark defensive side of the members wing. Hand passes to Enright in the corridor. Kicking up inside 50. It's a mark to Zach Dawson for the Saints, and they can load up on the southern wing because Fisher is all alone.
Fisher takes the mark. Revolt goes on his long lead. The kick instead comes into the centre square for Graham. Revolt doubles back at centre half forward. Graham had a couple of short options. He didn't use either, so he's going to bomb it up to the 50. Gardner came with the flight. Appeared to take Ottens out. Ball spills to Montagna. He swings and delivers a goal. And the Saints lead by 33. They've kicked the first two of the second half in the rain. And they've put such a gap in this that it would be hard to see them being overrun. 5 minutes into the third term, 10-9-69 to Geelong 5-6-36.
Actually, he looked as though he might interfere, but I think he fluked it, Gardner.
He did, Gardner, yeah.
He just went to punch it, and ricocheted off the back of his hand.
Well, it was a long searching kick by Graham. It was a good kick into the dangerous spot. Give Gardner his shoe. He got back with a whole fist. It didn't really make body contact. I think of the opposition, Geelong supporters a bit upset about it. I think you're right, Pete. Done clean and clear.
Thrown up in the middle. Ottens winning the tap down. Bartel can't break clear. Will have a secondary bounce. The rain is starting to get heavier. That's good for my daffodils in the backyard, but it's not good for the Cats because they've got all to do now in the heavy rain. It's Selwood, though, getting the clearance for the Cats. Inside 50, Barco in front. Tried to slap it towards Stokes, but Jones is there for St Kilda. And like a good defender, he just escorts it over the line for a boundary throw-in. Left forward pocket for the Cats as they kick down to the punt road end.
He's reined Ablett in a bit, hasn't he, since the start when Ablett was dominant.
Otten's in front, wins the tap down. Chance for Johnson, though. Sliding in lower was Ray. Couldn't quite get a disposal. Hayes could. Hand pass missed Dempster. Del Santo dives on the footy. He's tackled. Will have a bounce. 30 out from Geelong's goal, still in their left forward pocket. Lots of players around this throw-up. Ottens and Gardner, probably to Gardner. Hayes was there, tackle without the footy free kick. So St Kilda will get out of trouble. 6 minutes gone, third term. It's the Saints 69, the Cats 36.
Hayes to Gwilt out of fullback. Hand pass to Ray. He gives it on to Fisher. Doubles back to stay in the corridor and did it well. Kicks it for Graham. True centre half back. Pink breaks the southern side. Graham didn't go. He's forced a hand pass backward to Del Santo and spread it sideways to Gwilt. He will now look up that southern wing. Peake is manned by Milburn. Good on his duel. Peake pulls it to the back where he swoops on it. Paddles to his own advantage. Scarlett shuts him down. Milburn is offering the assist. Hand pass to Corey. It slipped through his fingers and Milne sees it out of play. 50 from goal. Corey is looking to claim a free kick here, which has been paid.
Yep, he's got one.
Corey kicks the Cats down the line, looking for Stokes. Couldn't take the overhead mark. Hand pass to Selwood. Gives it off now to Milburn. Keeps it up on the wing for Hawkins to mark. Defensive side of the middle. Hawkins is false started. And now he's going to kick backward to Scarlett. We look into the middle of the ground for Corey. They haven't quite got the overlap going yet. Hand pass to Hawkins, who is flat-footed. Back to Corey. It's a real muddle for the Cats. Hand pass to Milburn. Two come at him. Squeezes his kick up to Mackie. A bit haphazard, but it got there. He delivers inside the 50. And out positioned as Stokes, and Gilbert is taking the mark over the top.
And he transfers play to the members' side, and Peake takes the mark. He looks up. He has Graham all alone on the members' wing, and he marks on his chest. Revolt works for him ahead of him. He kicks in that direction close to the boundary, and Revolt obliges and takes a terrific mark. Plays on. Taylor slipped over. Revolt inside 50. Goes at goal, but it's out to the left. And it cannons into the behind post. Out of bounds on the full. Free kick to Joel Corey.
Taylor can't do anything offensively because he's so exhausted defensively.
That's true. Peake's been pretty good tonight.
Yes, he's had a good game.
And his speed, acceleration way has been superb.
Cats out of defence, but only for a moment. Corey's kick.
I reckon St Kilda played them one-on-one when they're coming out of the defensive 50.
Rather than
zoning it.
Yeah, looks like it.
Off hands, it went out of play. Now thrown in at half forward for the Saints. Hawkins knocks it down to the front. Ablett gathers. Hand pass to Hawkins. Feeds it up to Chapman. Works it on to Burns. He kicks beyond the middle. He needs Mark Blake. He presents and Mark slips the hand pass to Varco. Kicks for an open forward line. It skids away from Mooney. Rushes a goal. Mooney will get there and tow it through for a goal.
Good effort.
Mooney kicks his third. It's the Saints by 27 points. 9 minutes into the third term on Grandstand AFL. 10-9 to 6-6.
Yeah, Gilbert should have gone harder and lower and earlier, and he might have been in between that kick off the ground and the goal.
Clever kick by Varco. He kept it low and long and it skidded. Well, Dawson tried.
Yeah, he's pulled up. Gilbert's pulled up a long way back off the contest.
Crowd has just had a look on the scoreboard.
Looked like it might have been a hand on the ball.
Do you think Dawson touched it last?
I think Mooney got his boot on it.
I think the video replay
outside
a goal.
The outside of Mooney's left boot.
Yep.
Blake wins the tap down towards Kelly, who just tapped it cleverly to Selwood. He's tackled off his kick, though, and McAvoy for the Saints. Kicks it high inside 50. Kaczynski couldn't quite mark. Good spoil there from Scarlett. Kelly dives in for the Cats. It flicks out, though. Chance for the Saints. No, it's Scarlett picking it up. Hand passing to Corey. Kick smothered. Real chance for the Saints. Milne's kick, though, is fantastic. fantastically smothered. It falls to Milburn, hammers it back towards the middle. Saints with the 2-on-1 though. Gilbert tapped it to Goddard, sweeps the hand pass to Peake, got a bit of space. He hammers it inside 50. Revolt 1-on-1 with Taylor. Revolt, no, not quite on the second attempt. It's a Geelong footy to Corey. Hand passes it out to Hawkins. Hawkins, hand pass missed the target. Real chance again for the Saints. Milne gets another chance. Open square. He's missed it. Bouncing footy missed to the right. I thought it was going to be a goal. 11 minutes gone, third term. St Kilda 10-10-70. 28 points up on Geelong 6-6-42 at the 11-minute mark of the third term.
Milburn to kick in. Staggers at the top of the square, delivers short for Enrights after shaping to boot it long. Enright needs the next target at Selwood outside the defensive 50. Quick with a hand pass to Milburn. Shovels it off to Mackie. Kick up into the middle. Dawson's in front of Mooney. Mooney makes the spoil. Stokes is onto it. Hand pass to Mooney. Didn't quite reach him. Burns knocks it forward to the play to Ablett, who toes it on looking for Varco. Each was too strong with the kick. Wilt cuts it off for the Saints. Worked it around to McWalter. Almost lost it. Varco brought down by Wilt. Low. It's a trip. The rain falling heavier still. Varco, hand pass to Ablett at half forward. Guides the kick to Ling. It was a bump ball. Tackle laid by Goddard. Varco, a pretty lazy tap back into the pack. It was cut off by Gwilt. Hand pass to Jones. Dumped by Varco. Ablett picks up the loose footy. Kicks into the pocket. Hawkins at the back. Marked and played on. Lost the ball. And it's out of bounds.
Well, silly.
But tried to feed it off to Stokes, who was rushing at goal. The Cats try from the stoppage at the throw-in. Mark Blake taps it wide. Steve Johnson swings it at goal. Nailed it. The lead's back to 22. Geelong string a couple together. And 7-6 to 10-10.
I'm just going to ask you, David. I didn't quite see the setup, but Johnson to me looked as though he got too much space at a stoppage in his own forward 50, which is...
Well, he sat back off the contest a bit, Pete, and his man went in and made an extra number that was... But I think Geelong have learnt just a bit from St Kilda. I think their closing speed, their defensive pressure has just lifted a bit, and they were led totally in that by St Kilda for most part of the game. They've been able to force the ball back when St Kilda's looked in control and created 2 goals from it.
Yeah, he did it too easy. Young Dempster got sucked in. But he sort of edged him into the pack and he got out the back.
Back in the middle, 13 minutes gone in the third term. It's a St Kilda clearance to Montagna. High kick inside 50. Back with a flight. Revolt showed courage. Couldn't mark. Schneider with the crumbs. Hand passed it. Missed the target of Eddie. He fights at ground level, does Eddie. Also in there, Scarlett for the Cats. 25 out from St Kilda's goal. It's in the corridor. The umpire waits a long time. It spills out. Players crash in, still fighting for the footy, and the umpire eventually says, I'll have to bounce it. Still just 20 metres out from St Kilda's goal.
Still a handy lead, but the next one, if Geelong can get the next one.
Throw up, Garner wins the tap to Peake, at the back of the pack, he shoots, he misses. Really, that was a fairly easy snap, 20 out under little pressure, but he's missed it. St Kilda 10-11-71. The Cats with the last 2, 7-6-48, 14 gone in the third term.
Not a natural goal kick at Peake. It would have been better if it had fell for Milne or someone like that.
Almost man-to-man, Peters. You picked it up on the kick-off, almost.
Milburn tapped it to himself, kicked it long. Stokes was his target. That was never going to work, and Peake is able to mark over the top.
Had a good game.
He had a good game, yeah.
He's going to the centre square with his kick sideways. Fisher. 2 good kicks out from goal. Fisher's going to try the first one to the hot spot, 20 out, see if they can get a grab. Revolt flies, no mark. Mackie dispossessed. Schneider flying shot out of the pack, was never on target. It's out of bounds on the full.
I thought Wise got
no influence
going here against Revolt, but he was going up to protect him, which was fantastic.
Trapped in the back line again for the time being. Milburn's kick straight up the corridor, not without risk. Vatinsky flies, didn't mark. Hayes on the tidy up, hand pass to Revolt, kicks around the body, blasts it out on the full. He's done everything except kick the goals tonight, Nick Revolt. Second out of full in the term.
Not sure why he did that. He actually deliberately ran it right. He could have straightened up and kicked it with a drop putt, and he chose to kick a banana, which didn't even make the goal face.
So Taylor to kick it down the members' line. Not sure really who the target is. Gilbert bashes it forward. Peak there, lost control of it for the Saints. Going in Mackie for the Cats. Prizes it out towards Bartel. Hand passes to Ling. Now to Ablett. Breaks the tackle. Kicks up towards half forward. It's okay. Mooney's taken the mark. 60 out. Kicks to the top of the square. Burns a chance. He's got it. He has got it. Shannon Burns at the top of the square. Chapman could have been used on about 3 occasions, but it didn't matter because Mooney's precise kick to Burns running back to the goal face was perfect. And Burns from the top of the punt road goal square can kick 3 in a row for the Cats. And he does just that. And like a champion team, the Cats are surging back. 8-6-54 Geelong. St Kilda 10-11-71. 16 gone third term.
Don't forget Ablett in that. His pace
through the midfield,
incredibly important there on the wing to actually find the space to deliver to Mooney. Great kick by Mooney.
Cracker, wasn't it? Absolute cracker.
Well done, Geelong.
Oh, they're going well. I mean, as we said, the third, I've been saying it forever, this is the premiership quarter. It always is the third quarter when the game's in balance. And Geelong have shown what a great side they are. They're not playing incredibly good football, but they're slugging it out now, working hard when they don't have it, and winning a fair enough contest stuff, which suggests they're going to worry the Saints right throughout the rest of this game.
St Kilda by 17 points, thrown up in the middle, no effective tap, knocked forward by Hayes to Reebok, inside the 50 again, the Saints from the centre break, it threatens at the back, Milne almost got there, not quite, Ling kicks it off the ground, desperate to avert the initial danger, Selwood onto it, under pressure, coughed it up, gave it straight to Goddard, now to Del Santo, kick for Revolt, yes! Did he play on? No! Taylor brought him down, 12 metres out from goal. It's the Saint Skippers kick at goal.
It's either play on or a free kick.
I reckon Selwood's option there, David, was to kick it down the line and make some ground. He actually elected a handball back.
10 marks, Jared.
Follow me the centre square clearances, Paul, if you would. Nick Revolt, top of the goal square. He gives the Saints the settler. He's kicked 3. St Kilda again by 23 points. 11-11-77 to Geelong 8-6-54.
Jared, remember the first quarter it was 4-0 to the Geelong team. It is now 10-7 to the Saints.
What's going to happen?
Well, I think that was a pretty critical goal. The 3 had become 4, would have become 5, almost certainly. So to get that one back, and fairly convincingly, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, well, I mean, we've got 18 minutes and there's been no make-up of the margin.
Yep.
Yeah. That's pretty important for St Kilda.
3-3 straight St Kilda's way. Back in the middle, Ottens did win the tap down. Off hands, it ricochets out wide to Kelly for the Cats. Gets the hand pass. Well, still now on the southern wing. Geelong really mucked it up in the end. They had the numbers. Maybe a chance for Kelly again. He's knocked off the footy. Off the ground by Varco. Gets it towards forward 50. But meeting it solidly was Gilbert for the Saints. Gets the hand pass to Montagna. Up to the southern wing. Revolt couldn't mark good, spoil Taylor. But Del Santo front and centre collects. Kicks up towards Milne, one-on-one with Corey. It actually goes over the top and stays in the field of play. It gets to the 50 for the Saints. It's a Geelong footy, and through a chain of hand passes it comes out towards Bartel at defensive 50. Breaks the tackle, kicks back towards the southern wing, out towards Burns, but it bounces away from him and over for a boundary throw-in. Dead set centre wing, southern side of the MCG. 19 minutes gone, third term. It's still St Kilda by 23.
Adam, the method they're using Geelong, which is a lot of flick and handball, is the thing that'll help them get out of this trouble, but it's keeping them in the deep trouble too.
Elton's got the tap to the back. Milburn slaps it along the turf to Hunt. He kicks long into the centre square. Hawkins, it goes straight through his fingers. At the back, gathered is Gilbert, ran straight into Hawkins. Got some sort of kick out of there. Just hacked out to the wing by Montagna. It was the right play. Ball bounces out against the boundary. Kaczynski and Scarlett contest. Cozzy kicks it off the ground and out of play.
What happened there? They both running towards the line, and Cozzy was in front. He turned around and just took Scarlett out. Oh, dear me.
On the members' wing, this throw in. Gardner guided it to the back. Sealwood trying to crunch his way through. Didn't quite get there. Held up. Schneider's right in the thick of it.
And he's asking the question, if Hayes got the one in the head previously, then why wasn't I given that one? Because he was on over the top and they all came over the top with him. Selwood deserved around the neck or in the back, whatever it was.
Tossed up this time on the wing. Gardner clearly gets his hand to it. Andy knocked it to advantage. Del Santo to Ray. Mongrel kick up to half forward. Gardner almost marks. It slips out the back. Revolt overruns it. Kelly is onto it for Geelong. She dodged the old hand pass up in the air, but it found its way to Corey. Now to Milburn. Kicks into the midfield. Good coverage from the Saints there as Blake left his man. But Bartel shovels it out to Selwood. On now to Burns. The kick is perfect into the pocket. Johnson spilt it. Mightn't matter. Works his way onto the right. Kick no good into the corridor. And Ray cuts it off for the Saints.
In the end, Jared, it did matter that he dropped the mark because it's now a St Kilda ball with Ray at centre half-back.
It's hit him in the throat, I think.
Tried to mark on his chest.
Well, it's hit him in the throat and he's struggling with his breathing.
Ray plays on, then goes the southern side. It's a good kick in the end. And St Kilda can get out of trouble. No, kick smothered there. That was a little lazy in the end by McWalter. Now a Geelong footy. Showing great courage was Dawson, but he went without the footy in the end for the Saints. Comes to Chapman. Under pressure. Hand pass search there towards Hunt. Couldn't find the target. And Hayes charges on the footy. Breaks the tackle and kicks the revolt. He marks it. Two good kicks out from goal. Waiting for Kaczynski to come back inside 50. In the end, he goes to the corridor, to the middle to Gardner. Drop the mark. Has supporting Ray. He hand passes towards Fisher. Bad kick from Sam Fisher. And the mark's been taken by Stokes at defensive 50. Told to play on. Flares a wide hand pass to Milburn. Milburn's kick towards the members' wing. Low down the mark. Couldn't be completed by Hawkins. Then was tackled by Goddard. Goddard wanting the boundary. And he finds at centre wing members' side. Now 22 and a half gone, third term. It's still the Saints by 23 points.
On the throw in, third man up is Bartel. Set play out to Kelly, and we missed the hand pass almost stone cold. Eddie cut it off, but he gave it back to Kelly. Out into the middle. Ball Hunt knocks over Peak. Kelly comes through, kicks to centre half forward. Barco the spoil on Fisher. Fisher does well. Measures out the hand pass to Dawson. Up now to Gwilt. Kick for Revolt over the top of him. Ball loose at the back. Scarlett onto it first. Hand pass loose in the corridor. Hunt goes and gets it, and there's no immediate pressure to deal with. He's got to find the right target though. Hand pass to Corey. Two come at him. Corey goes to ground. Free kick.
Yep, play on.
Yep. And the Cats bring it out to half back now for Selwood. Selwood right into the middle for Chapman. Chapman can look for the next target in Ling. He's going with the flight. It lands between him and Stokes. Stokes takes it. Gets onto the right. No pressure. Pot shot at goal. Got it. Stokes kicks his second. The deficit again is 17 points.
Yeah.
St Kilda 11-11, 77. Geelong 9-6-60. 24th minute of the third term.
Well, don't give up a champion side, because right at the moment, I just think the flow's with them. But you called it, but you said didn't go with him. That was Gilbert. He allowed Stokes to gather the ball in the wet, turn around, balance himself and kick a goal. It was very, very poor defensive play by Gilbert.
And the guns are starting to...
I reckon Ling's done a good job on Goddard this quarter.
Yep, that's a good match-up, that one.
Well done.
Atlas lifted his rate. Selwood's lifted his rate.
Selwood's been good.
Back in the middle, it's a St Kilda clearance to Del Santo again. Bouncing ball inside 50. Off hands, Wajinski spoils it away. Montagna slipped over. Eddie got the hand pass to Pete. Caught on his left. Kicks to the goal square. But the defensive mark's taken by Milburn. Hits the ground running. Goes towards Taylor. Revolt created a contest, and it was a good contest. Ray, though, for the Saints, let him down. It lets in Wajinski. Did really well. Collected the wet ball. Hand pass to Ablett. Big tap. tackle on Ablett. Ball jars free. Taylor there for the Cats. Stays in the field of play. Hand pass though straight there to Jones. He's hand pass to Montag. They're letting him down though. It's a Geelong footy to Chapman. Lots of pressure at the moment. Chapman from the members wing kicks to the middle to Mackie. They've got the spare player. The kick was poor towards Burns. Sam Fisher with the spoil. It goes out towards the southern boundary on the wing position. Sliding players going in, and it finds the boundary. Wow, this is becoming a real contest now. 17 points St Kilda's lead. 26 gone third term.
It's been as far as 33 in this term. Mark Blake guides the tap down to Mackie. Cats inside the 50. Ling tried to protect it into the corridor. Ball loose at the back. Fumble from Montagna. Ling stays with him. Gilbert played for the boundary. Paddled it out. Throw it in.
Ooh. We're sort of, the errors are happening, but we've got to accept it with the rain coming down, and Geelong have just got to keep playing this way.
It was a deliberate.
Cats fans turn to Howell this time.
They should have.
From the throw in, Blake down to Johnson trying to skip through. Got taken high. Steve Johnson, free kick, 25 out, minimal angle.
Gee, they've turned it around, haven't they?
Have they ever?
On the back of Selwood, Ablett, but everyone. Backline's got going. Milburn's been terrific down there. Ling's done the job on Goddard.
And the Cats have had 20 more possessions this quarter.
What about inside 50s, Paul?
Inside 50s are 35 to the Saints, 32 to the Cats.
Steve Johnson has dried the footy with the towel and put them in within reach of the Saints. That'll do. The kick is good. It's an 11-point ball game. St Kilda 11-11, 77. Geelong 10-6, 66. 2 minutes to play in the third term.
Well,
the A-graders.
Oh, you said it. What were they? 30-odd points up. You would have thought 33 points up. First 2 goals of the quarter. You put the game away, and gee, since the 10-minute mark when Mooney got that goal off the ground, I just think they've played all over St Kilda.
Well, the Saints might be 11 points up, but they need the next goal.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt.
It's 27 minutes gone in the third term. The Cats have kicked 5 goals to St Kilda's 3 in the premiership quarter. From the middle, it's another St Kilda clearance off the ground by Montagna to the 50. Milburn fumbles the footy. Ray went in crudely, and there's a free kick to Milburn. In fact, it was Blake that went in crudely.
Unnecessary.
Yeah,
out of control.
He fell on the ground, so he sort of had him.
Now they've got the loose player on the southern side here. Milburn to Scarlett. Then they work it well out the back. Real chance for the Cats at right half back. Kick back though to full back to Scarlett, so it didn't quite work for them. Scarlett's going to go the member side this turn. Back towards Milburn. Reaches it on the bounce. He has Graham for company, and then Milburn kicks it out of the full. He shanked the left foot kick. Now Graham has it 70 metres out from goal. Pokes a pass into the pocket. Kaczynski caught behind, and good work there from Scarlett, taking the defensive mark in the left back pocket. They'll try again to transfer out towards the southern back pocket, and it's Bartel. He chips it over the top to Chapman at defensive 52 bites, yes. Initially it bounced off his chest, but he completed the mark on the second attempt. Southern half back flank, short pass to Varco. That's okay. Oh, he played on. He stepped away and played on. Hand pass to Chapman from a standing start, kicks towards the southern wing. Lots of St Kilda players, and in the chop, a great mark taken by Sam Fisher. Close to three-quarter time. It's still the Saints by 11 points with Sam Fisher with the ball on the southern wing.
He's trying to guide the kick forward. He does it well to Jones. Jones hand passes to Gwilt. Time enough for the Saints. The kick's to McWalter. It went through his fingers. Taylor's onto it. McWalter's onto him. Pack forms. Ball just about at the standstill. It is now. And with 30 seconds on the clock, it'll be tossed up 50 from St Kilda's goal.
Going to be a lot of these, Pete. There'll be a lot of 20-man packs with lying under the ball. Be a lot of those from this point on.
Up she goes. Ottens down to Bartel. Took the tackles. One of them was high.
I tell you what, though, Geelong are the one who's able to get it out and going, aren't they?
From the contest situation. Yeah.
Well, and just in general, I think this quarter.
Bartel has signalled to kick it as far as he can on the southern side, and instead he dinks the pass to Kelly. They're playing for the siren as well now, the Cats. Backward to Milburn. Hold builds on. And the Cats will reach three-quarter time with the Saints in their sights. St Kilda leads 11-11-77. Geelong is coming 10-6-66. It was 33 points St Kilda's way after they kicked the first 2 goals of the term. The Cats pegged them back, ended up kicking 5 goals, 1 in the quarter to St Kilda's 3 goals, 3. The goal kickers for the Saints, Rebolt 3, same for Milne. Singles to Jones, Montagna, Gardner, Goddard and Kosicki. For Geelong, 3 to Mooney, 2 to Johnson, 2 to Stokes and 2 to Varco. And a single to Shannon Burns. Three-quarter time, St Kilda by 11 points in the second qualifying final here on Grandstand AFL on ABC Local Radio, News Radio and Digital Radio.
You can get the ABC in more ways.
News.
With the new ABC iPad app.
Entertainment.
We've already got your phone covered.
3G or Wi-Fi.
No matter which mobile you're on or where you are.
Radio.
There are apps or the ABC mobile site.
Video.
And now there's the new free ABC iPad app.
TV and podcast.
So browse it, swipe it, listen and watch. Get your ABC on the move.
Grandstand AFL.
Into the pocket, Rebolt a chance. The ball's bouncing. It's bouncing. It's gone home. Oh, the Saints.
Ball spills to Montagna. He swings and delivers a goal. And the Saints lead by 33. It skids away from Mooney. Rushes the goal. Mooney will get there and tow it through for a goal. Mark Blake taps it wide. Steve Johnson swings it at goal. Nailed it. Selwood onto it, under pressure, coughed it up. Gave it straight to Goddard. Now to Del Santo. Kick for Rebolt, yes! Nick Rebolt, top of the goal square. He gives the Saints the settler. Stokes takes it, gets onto the right. No pressure. Pot shot a goal. Got it.
Grandstand AFL on ABC Local Radio.
St Kilda by 11 points at three-quarter time. In the NRL tonight, the Gold Coast 21 beat the West Tigers 18. Canberra 18 in the Brisbane Broncos. Hopes of the finals 16. And in the A-League late, it's Central Coast Mariners 2 leading Melbourne Victory 0. Peter Schwab and David Parker.
Can I just make one stat?
Yes, please.
Geelong in the first half, I think, had 53 effective kicks. That quarter, they had 43 when it started to rain. I mean, it's just, I'm never going to write them off again. I was just about writing them off at half-time. They turned the game around in the way they play football. We all expect highly skilled teams, use the ball a lot, are going to struggle in the wet and the slippery conditions. They actually went up a notch. They were brilliant. And the Saints would be severely worried in that huddle at this moment.
I know it's far too simplistic to say that individual contests over about 8 pairs would have made the difference, but there's no doubt that Scarlett has now got the better of Cozzy. Selwood is now on top of Hayes.
Well,
Ablett is now on top of Jones. Even Taylor has got Rewald, I think, under a bit more control.
Go back to Cozzy, I'll tell you something.
Well, Hunt and little fella Milne also in control, and Ling probably in that quarter got under control. So it's about
I'll give you Cozzy's quarter time stats, okay? Quarter time, right? 5 kicks, okay?
Yep.
5 marks.
Yep.
Three-quarter time, 5 kicks, 5 marks. And I'm going to check his handballs. He's had one there. What do you have in the first quarter? Where are you, Cozzy? I'm chasing you up. He has not touched the football in 2 quarters of football. Compare that to number 12 running around for them. He can't do it on his own. And that has to be the message to someone like Kosicki. You've got to give him more.
And 2 of their key forwards, Milne does the disperse, certainly got them to the point where they can win the game, and Cozzy started them well, but then they disappear totally. You don't even get a token resistance for them in the rest of the game. I don't know whether the game's...
Milne shut Goddard down too. That was a very good quarter by Ling.
I look
at Ling, I think, oh, is he struggling? And then he comes out and he gives you a quarter of football like that, where he stopped the best player, arguably the best player on the ground in the first half, and he just reduces his influence.
I'd be interested to know, Doc might look it up for us, what happened at Geelong is that they lifted their rate when they didn't have the ball. All the stuff that St Kilda was doing basically from the 10 or 15 minute mark of the first quarter, no time and space for Geelong at all, and they fumbled and gave the ball back, turned it over time and time again. But now it's almost reversed. I mean, St Kilda are still keeping at it, but Geelong lifted their rate defensively and hacked into St Kilda and caused them terrible troubles during that quarter.
Paul Callery, give us some of the numbers.
Certainly, Jared. Well, the Saints had 85 possessions in that quarter. The Cats 107. Now it's 280 to the Cats, 284 to the Saints. Centre clearances 12-8 to the Saints. Contested possessions, you mentioned, David, St Kilda 93, the Cats 84. Main possession winners as far as the Cats are concerned, with Bartel 23, Chapman 22, Milburn 21, and Kelly 20. Ablett dropped down to 18. Goddard with 23, only had 3 touches that quarter. Fisher with 23, Jared.
St Kilda by 11 points. Final term of the qualifying final underway. Had a fair old roar to meet it. Ruckman knocked each other over. Selwood dispossessed. Bartel got a kick which only went as far as Bartel. Cats inside the 50. No mark. Free kick against Steve Johnson, who was just dragging down the arm of Sean Dempster. Dempster's free kick. 25 out from defensive goal. He'll send it out to the members' wing. Revolt's going to fly in the pack. Taylor makes the spoil. Ball to the front. Del Santo onto it. Chapman onto him. Del Santo squeezed out a kick and it went out of bounds. Tim Hodges.
Jared, the heaviest the rain has fallen all night so far. The benches for the final turn for the Saints: Peake, McAvoy, Blake and Schneider. For the Cats: Hunt, Barco, Mackie and Blake. Ross Lyon, as animated as I've ever seen him at three-quarter time break, gave these Saints an enormous bake.
It comes out towards Goddard from the boundary throwing, but the Cats have gained valuable territory. Goddard with a hand pass to Del Santo to Bartelli, dropped the mark, backing back into the pack. Wojcinski cleaned up with a hand pass to Ling. Back to Bartel. Spirals it towards half forward. Mooney, no. Couldn't take the mark. Front of the pack though, Burns. Inside 50. A chance for Hawkins. Couldn't mark it low down. Ablett couldn't control it at ground level. Going really well there was Gilbert. Got the hand pass to Hayes. Back to Gilbert. A true Geelong man tackle. Brings him to ground. Holding the footy. He couldn't barge through the pack. And the free kick's going to Mooney just outside 50 at right half forward. Will he try for the distance or will he spot up a kick inside 50? Or perhaps a hand pass to Bartel? No, it's Mooney. He's taking the responsibility. It goes out to the right. It might stay in play for Hawkins. No. Offhands through for a minor score. And the margin now 10 points. St Kilda 77. Geelong 67. 2 gone final turn.
Not happy with that kick, David?
Oh, no, happy with the Gilbert free kick.
So the Saints have restarted play to Quilt. He comes from one back pocket to the other in Fisher. Guides it up the line for Del Santo. This is all inside the defensive 50. St Kilda by 10 points. Del Santo with no other option but to kick it long. Kaczynski against Ottens. No mark. Ball spills to the side and out of play.
He's had his first touch.
Cats are tagging side of the middle. Hooked back into play. Ottens unimpeded at the tap, couldn't do a lot with it. Enright tried to tow it forward. Milne cut it off, fed it out to Hayes, sets them up to half forward, the Saints. Scarlett makes the spoil over the top of Kaczynski. Players slide in and see it out of bounds. Left half forward for the Saints.
Now 3 minutes gone in the final term. The Saints by 10 points, but the lead was 33 during the third quarter. A shallow throw-in favours Ottens. Taps it down towards Corey. Selwood actually collided with Corey. Corey on the bottom of the pack. And players emerge with the footy, but will have a bounce.
He's not going to be very pretty from this point on, I would suggest. She's become more at the 4-minute mark of the first quarter a real struggle.
Ottens and Gardner in the ruck as the umpire throws it up. Gardner wins it down to Selwood. He's dispossessed. Fights hard again at ground level with Ablett in support, but they can't break clear. We'll have another bounce. Still 70 metres out from St Kilda's goal. At left half forward, member side, they're attacking the Saints to the punt road end. Throw up again. Ottens wins the tap down off the ground there by Montagna. Falls to Corey. Hand pass under pressure straight to Montagna. He's dispossessed. Players again charge in. The ball ricocheting all over the place. Ray tries to squeeze it out of the congestion. He can't do so. It's like rugby union at the moment. They're at the front left corner of the square and the umpire eventually has to come in and call for another bounce.
Someone just has to fluke a clean possession and get it out of there, don't they?
For the whole quarter. Corey went third man up, got it to Bartel, and he ekes the kick out up to the wing, into some space. Stokes closes on it. He's offloaded by Gilbert, who wins the ball away and kicks it around the wing. Ottens against Gardner, no mark. It falls at the drop to Baginski. Hand pass to Ottens, hand pass to Bartel. He got cannoned into. His kick will fall short at the wing. Goddard against Ling. Enright inserted himself manfully. Got it off to Selwood. Hurried inside the 50, marking contest. They sprawl in. Jones and Ablett at the drop. Ablett barges through. Goes to ground at the last. Couldn't release it. Couldn't kick it on. Ball is trapped.
Throw.
It's still working around in there, and it will be bounced or thrown up. 45 out for the Geelong goal.
See Fisher, he had it. He thought, gee, they're going to ping me here. I just got to get rid of it. You have it.
He sure did. The scrums move 50 metres.
But it is in Geelong's inside their 50 range. Chance here for Eddie. Hand pass. Well, he sort of dispossessed. El Sano went in there. Now Graham loses it. Blake hand pass. A little indiscriminate. Blake goes again, the ruckman. Tries to squeeze it to Corey. He's tackled. Players dive in. Flicks out to Montagna. It's called a throw. It's a throw, so it's a Geelong free kick. Sweet. It's going to Corey, just forward of the members' wing. Chance for Chapman in the pocket. Also Steve Johnson there, over Johnson's head and over for a boundary throw in. Chapman going, why not me?
Yeah,
why didn't you give it to me?
It's wet, mate, and I didn't have the skill ever to get it that good.
25 out from the Cats' goal. Right forward pocket, 10 points the difference. St Kilda leads. McAvoy palms it down, maybe a chance for Burns. Paddles it out towards Blake. Can he get it to Chapman? He can. He's got some space. He hand passes it to Milburn. Back to Chapman from a standing start. High kick to the square. McAvoy going back. Double fist punch. Through for a rush behind. The margin now 9 points.
I reckon
the Cats 10-8. The Saints 11-11. 6 minutes.
Be able to count the clean possessions on two hands, I reckon.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, and they'll be paramount if you can actually can control the ball in space.
Goddard whacks it in long into play. Kaczynski and Scarlett Enright across the front. Takes the mark for Geelong. And they can remount the assaults.
May as well put it in.
Enright is going to do that. He's going to land at 30 out. He's gone for Steve Johnson. They pile in. Dawson is able to win possession. Hand passed it around. It came out through McAvoy to Hayes, who delivers out to the wing. Varco's come from the bench. Trapped it on the boundary. Broke clear into the pocket. Ling!
What a great interchange.
Slides into the fence.
That was just brilliant by Varco. He timed it, came off the bench. It looked like he was going to go out and he's dashed off the interchange, controlled it beautifully and hit Ling on the chest.
Ling has gone cannoning into the fence with a bit of an assist from Goddard. He will start in the gutter at right half forward as all the numbers drift to the square.
What's the hold-up?
There's a blood rule. Lenny Hayes was sent from the field. Actually, he's bleeding from the right eye. Peake has made his way onto the field. So we are with Cameron Ling. Right half forward. From the boundary. The Cats skipper kicks a goal. It's online. It hit the right-hand post. The Cats are creeping up on the Saints. They trail by 8. The 3 scores in the term have been Geelong behind.
That looked a goal for all money. That cannoned into the goal post. It was still going up when it hit the post. The all-important kick back into play by Del Santo. He goes the southern side. Huge back of players. No one can mark. Chance for Kelly. He got tackled. Gets it out towards Stokes. Hand pass to Barco. He's dispossessed. Barco fights on. Still a loose footy. Players diving on it 30 metres out from the Cats' goal. There's a free kick.
Stokes.
There's a free kick and it's a Geelong free.
High tackle.
Stokes fought hard for it. There were players diving in all over the place. But umpire Brett Roseberry was adamant that Stokes was taken high, and the free kick against Nick Del Santo.
Well, it was Varco's
effort.
Wasn't Varco's effort, that speed to take them on, control the ball.
Efforts.
2 or 3 efforts. He's not known for that physical stuff, and he set this whole thing up.
So Matthew Stokes comes in. Oh, it's out to the right. He's missed it. It was a very nervous kick. The contact was not good. It's another behind. The margin 7 points at the 9-minute mark of the final term. Stokes was just 20 out.
Goddard drags his kick to half back. He finds Milne half a step in the field of play.
Brilliant, skillful, isn't it? Yeah. That is skillful.
Brilliant.
Milne down the line, long. Kaczynski's the target. They all fly. Corey made the spoil. Schneider came up the footy. Hand past the Reebok. Crossed halfway. Scarlett up to meet it. Had a little fumble. Guided it well up the line to Corey, to Enright. Kicked in a hell of a hurry. He's gone for Bartel. He against Del Santo. Paddled it up for Ablett. Tried to spin out of the tackle. Got it loose to Burns. Onto the left boot. Johnson's his man. He came sprawling out the front. No free kick. Fisher gathers. Hand pass to McQualter. Across the centre square for Dawson. Hand pass to Peake. Defensive side of the middle of the Saints. Now the kick to half forward. Schneider knocked it over his head.
Well done.
Straight out of play. Throw it in.
Clever. Look, it was a risky kick by Burns because it opens up the game for it to go rebounding down the other end.
Exactly.
The Cats have kicked 4 behinds this quarter. St Kilda hasn't scored. From the boundary, throwing Ottens wins it down towards Kelly. Ottens goes again, hand pass towards Bartel. Knocks it in the Ling direction. He goes off the ground, gains valuable territory. We'll have another throwing, but the Cats now just forward of the southern wing as we've crossed 11 minutes in the final quarter. Geelong does appear to have all the momentum, but they cannot find the major opening in this final term. From the throwing, it was shallow. It fell in Otten's hands. Hand pass to Mackie to Varco, immediately tackled. It's now a St Kilda footy to Peake. Hurries a kick towards half forward. Mill met it really well on the bounce. Breaks the tackle. Kicks inside 50. It's a delightful kick. And sliding onto it, Adam Schneider has taken the mark. 30 out, straight in front. Kicking to the punt road end. Stephen Milne did really, really well. Controlled the wet footy. Presence of mind to kick it inside 50 without panicking. And Schneider has taken the mark.
Great decision because he could have been drawn to Rewald. Rewald was coming. Could have gone for one-on-one and trusted him, but he kicked it perfectly for Schneider's run. It was into the corridor, running flat out. Great kick.
Mackie should have whacked it in. He got the handball off Ottens. He should have kicked it in. He elected a handball to Varco, who was under pressure. Good tackle by McQualter, but that was the error from Geelong.
Yes.
This is a big moment in this match. Milne to Schneider, the 2 players that were criticised in last year's grand final. A real chance for Schneider to make a statement. 30 out. He has kicked it. He has kicked it. The first goal of the final term is a St Kilda one. And the margin is back to 13 points. The Saints 12-11-83. Geelong 10-10-70. 12 gone final term.
It says something, Adam, you called it. The pressure in his mind. I mean, there's the mental skill of being able to shut out all of that backlash of criticism from last year and kick the one in this game when it was absolutely crucial. Well done, young man.
Well, it's the one Stokes should have kicked at the other end.
Yes.
You know, it's a similar shot on goal. Hadn't had a good night, Schneider, but good finish.
Peter Schwab and David Parkin on grandstand AFL. St Kilda by 13 near the halfway mark of the final term. Ruckman ineffective. Jones, though, the clearance for the Saints. They go forward from the middle once more. Burns is onto it at half-back for Geelong. Hand pass to Kelly. Back to Burns, hemmed in on the boundary. Kept his kick skidding across the grass. Selwood onto it. Hand passed it straight to the opposition. Eddie. It worked its way to Hayes. Pushed off his kick. It lands right on the chalk. And it'll be thrown in on the southern wing.
They found a bit Geelong, though. Seem to be getting to each of the contests a little quicker.
Still in it.
Yeah, running over the ground extremely well.
Mark Blake and Gardner to contest in the ruck. Gardner knocks it down to the front of the pack. Bartel lays a tackle, then gets onto the ball. He missed Kelly. Del Santo went over the top a bit crudely. Milburn off the ground, fortuitously up to Burns. Jones smothers the hand pass and sees it out of play.
Is it 5 minutes each way for a draw?
It is. We're a little way from that, though. It's 13 points St Kilda's way. Thrown in, Cat's side of the middle. Bartel will gather at the stoppage and be brought down, but the ball spills to Mackie. He closes to 50. He kicks across the face of goal, and it is another behind to the Cats.
He's usually good at that, Jared, isn't he? That's one of his specialties. Once he gets a run at round 50, he puts them away.
2 goals neat, so a little bit closer to your draw, David. 63,608 in attendance, St Kilda leading.
Gwilt kicks to himself, then goes to Members' side. Sam Fisher, the target, got hands to it, couldn't complete the mark. Chapman, hip and shoulder there with Jason Blake. It goes out of bounds for a throw-in. Between wing and half forward for the Cats in front of the Members' stand. They trail the Cats by 12 points. Blake wins the tap down to Kelly. Tackled by Gardner, and Hayes will have a bounce. Now 75 out from the Cats' goal, right half forward. The Cats 5 behinds for this term. St Kilda 1 goal straight. Bartel, third man up, wins the tap. Trying to charge through with Selwood. Couldn't do so successfully. Spills out to Bartel. Hand passes to Wajinski. Defensive hand pass to Taylor. Now back at the Members' wing. High kick to half forward. Chance for Johnson. Couldn't take it. Selwood crumbs. 70 out. Kicks to the pocket. Chapman's a chance. He's marked it on his chest. Under real pressure from Blake, but Chapman has got it deep in the pocket, the right forward pocket, so it's going to be a tough kick for his right foot kick at goal.
Well, Selwood's bounced back, hasn't he?
He has bounced back.
Half time, he's been very quiet.
The Blake who decided to punch it rather than mark it, then it's an half back. He had 2 hands clear. He wasn't prepared to take the risk and control the ball. Just whacked it straight down, and this is the end result.
24 disposals for the night so far to Chapman, kicking in almost an identical position to Cameron Ling. Now, the captain hit the post. How will Chapman go? A chance to cut the margin to 6 points. It's a good looking kick. He split the middle. And the Cats will simply not die. The margin back to 6 points at the 16-minute mark of the final quarter.
He's a champion.
Yeah, he is.
He is a champion.
He's been calling for it for a quarter and a half.
Well,
he was never going to miss when he got it.
The earlier one, I thought he was optimistic. That one was not so. But he just proves, I suppose what you said, blocks everything out, just knows what he has to do and finishes perfectly.
And it's as much a mental skills as a physical technique, isn't it? And look, the team, for those who are at home, the team response across the board, back, forward and middle for Geelong, then fantastic.
It's a magnificent final, and Ablett takes it away from the middle. He spreads the hand pass to Burns, delivers over the top of Ling. Loose ball for a moment. Steve Johnson onto it. They tackle him. He doesn't place it to advantage. They all pile in. The ball is lost underneath and will be tossed up. 35 out from Geelong's goal.
They are looking very potent, Jared. Just very potent. It's lifted a whole level across the field.
Tossed up quickly, side of the pack. Dempster for the Saints. Hand pass smothered by Burns, who goes again. Ball spills to the side of that pack. Blake for the Saints to Eddie to Del Santo. Selwood crashes into Hayes. Knocks him off the footy. It's out of play.
The other player who's lifted is Shannon Burns. He's done some pretty good things this quarter.
Left half forward for the Cats. Pushing for the tying goal. Thrown in. McAvoy got his hand to it. He got pushed as well. St Kilda free kick at half back.
It's to be taken by McAvoy at defensive 50 southern side. Chips it over the top to Montagna, who marks as the Saints trying to slow it down. Short kick over the top. He's okay, and Jones marks in front of Burns. Close to the boundary on the southern side.
Feeling sorry for the Blakes with the ball. There's not much run and spread now for you, boys. Not much run and spread at all.
The rain continues to drive down. Long kick. Revolt in the pack. Also Orton's off hands. Barco almost got it. So did Montagna, but he was dispossessed. Barco there again, close to the line with Ablett. Will have a throw in. Crown wanting a free kick perhaps. The umpire says, no, throw it in.
Yeah, Varco pushed him over.
Ottens one-on-one with McAvoy. Ottens again winning the tap down. Chance for the Cats. Sliding onto it, Kelly. Montagna up there, scooped it up. Jones there also knocked it towards the boundary. Enright for the Cats. He kicks it down the line towards half forward. One-on-one there was Johnson and Dempster. It goes over for a boundary throw in. The Cats at left half forward. 19 minutes gone here in the final term. The second qualifying final. It's St Kilda by 6 points.
Thrown in, McAvoy to the front. Tap went in that direction too. Burns taken to ground as soon as he got it. We lurched from stoppage to stoppage. St Kilda led by 33 points early in the third term. They lead by 6 right now. Kelly from the stoppage in a tackle, released the ball. Actually, it bounced straight back into him. And he took another tackle, played or halts. About to hit time on of this final term. Milburn, third man up, knocked it forward, trapped by Montagna, clever play. Ball ricochets out around to the wing on the kick. Steve Johnson went without it. Enright slips over the top. Revolt sweats on it. Taylor gathers though for Geelong. Hand pass to Kelly. Bangs it inside the 50. Up they go. No mark. Foot race. Ablett has it. He's wide out. He took a bounce in a tackle, holding the ball. What a lunge in there from Gilbert.
That was back to his old days as a rugby player, the way he tackled him.
He actually lost possession of the ball before he tackled him.
Before he tackled, that's what he's trying to explain to the umpire.
It could be a match-winning tackle. The kick down the line. Ottens almost took the mark. Varco with the crumbs. It's a Geelong footy. He goes back to half-back, but they switching. Scarlett's got it. Short now to Enright in the middle. They've got numbers on the members' side. Chance for Burns. He's taken the mark. 2 good kicks out from goal at right half forward. Almost 50 perhaps, no. Burns wanted 50 for encroachment on the mark. In the end he goes long into the pocket. Hawkins the only option and Goddard going back. Backed into the pack and took the mark on his chest. Kicks into the corridor to Montagna who marks 35 metres out from Geelong's goal. 21 minutes now gone in the final term. Montagna still with the footy. He looks up, doesn't really know what to do. Has to hand pass it into the end towards Dempster. Up towards the southern wing. Corey was manhandled. He'll take the free kick for the Cats. Forward to the southern wing. The chance for Geelong to move forward once more.
All the runnings with Geelong. The Saints are just trying to hang on here.
Just hanging on, yeah.
Corey is going to kick it in and challenge them to mark it. Ablett's going to leap in the pack. No mark. Ablett has it. They all have him. Ball spills loose out of play. 55 out from Geelong's goal. It's been done in increments.
Oh, yes. Like Oz kick on Saturday morning. This is
edge it down the field and see if you can create an opening. And if St Kilda can open it the other way, it is wide open ahead. Del Santo got some sort of kick to Gilbert. Hand pass to Eddie who fumbled. Gilbert goes again, but Chapman prods it inside the 50. It's all on the bounce. It skews amongst them. Varco's got it. He snaps a goal. He misses. St Kilda leads by 5 points at the 22-minute mark of the final term.
Might be a very handy point, that one. Might be a very handy point.
A little bit of handy goal.
Yeah, even more handy goal, yes.
The Cats have kicked 1-6 in this final quarter to St Kilda's 1 goal. But the Saints hold on to a 5-point lead at the 22.5-minute mark of the final term. The short kick into Gwilt. From the back pocket, he kicks again down the southern side, revolting the pack. Taylor's improved as the night's gone on. He got a spoil to it, and it's gone out of bounds at left half forward for the Cats on the southern side, 75 metres out from goal.
Inside 50s for this quarter. Doc, not for the game for this quarter.
Throw in. We'll get to that shortly as Gardner wins the tap to the front. Hayes a chance, knocked off the footy. Going in there was Stokes. Ray's tackled. Selwood, did he get a high tackle? No, he didn't. Yes, he did.
He definitely did. Don't worry about him. He just puts his head over the ball. He deserves every free kick he gets.
Umpire Sean Ryan paying that free kick.
Inside 50s, 47 to the Cats, 37 to the Saints this quarter. Has been 12 for the Cats and 3 to the Saints.
Yep. 12 inside 50s to 3. Selwood has the free kick. He'll have to kick at 55. Wilt stands the mark on the 50, the red 50, where the letters are in the 50 line. Selwood, he's going the torpedo. He's got onto it, but it's out to the right. It's spiralled into the fence on the full, but only a minor score.
Is that the right
Geelong
option?
11-13, St Kilda 12-11. 4 points the difference at the 24-minute mark of the final quarter.
If he got onto it, it was home and hose. I mean, he got onto it, but if he'd have got the accuracy, it was home and hose.
Goddard plays into himself from the kick on and drives it long. He needs Kaczynski. Got his hands to it, couldn't complete it. Enright knocks it forward, gains some meterage, puts it out of play. It's 50 from Geelong's goal. It is suffocating. It's suffocating to play, and it's just about that to watch. St Kilda by 4 points. We are now into the dying stages. Revolt, third man up in the ruck contest. No possession when it landed. Ball never spilled out. Toss it up. Everybody in one half of the ground. The furthest outrider is Scarlett, who stands alone in the centre square. Selwood from the stoppage slings it onto the boot. It wobbles to full forward, and Dawson stands in front of Mooney to take the defensive mark. Zach is going to spread it to half-back. Beautiful kick to Jason Blake. He marks and pauses. It is open ahead. He kicks it sideways to Gwilt. St Kilda happy to sit on their lead. 25 minutes gone, they lead by 4 points. Gwilt, long down the line. Kaczynski and Scarlett. Scarlett, the superior body work. Marks and plays it. Oh, Chapman was the target. He slipped over. Ball went through a couple. It's in dispute on the logo. It's held up. Umpire circles. He'll throw it up. Saints 83. Cats 79.
On the logo on the southern wing, as the umpire says, there's a blood rule. It's a Geelong blood rule, and it is James Kelly coming off. You almost think that this clearance could actually see the result of the game, if anyone can break clear here.
He's been scalped.
Shannon Burns comes on for Kelly as we await to start play again at the 26-minute mark of the final term. St Kilda lead by 4 points. Thrown up. Corey, third man up, taps it down into congestion, but it's Revolt who kicks it inside 50 for the Saints. Out to the boundary, and he finds touch. 50 metres out from St Kilda's goal. That was an important clearance by the St Kilda captain.
Yep, need to keep it in that part of the ground.
Can the Saints squeeze the Cats for 2 or 3 more minutes? Throw-in takes place again at shallow. Revolt with the tap, taken though by Selwood. Can't quite keep it in, and we'll have another throw-in 50 out from St Kilda's goal. We're at right half forward, southern side of the MCG. The Saints attacking to the punt road end. Throw-in again. Gardner and Blake. Gardner gets to the front and wins the tap down. Shark by Hayes. Got the hand pass. Flying kick inside 50. McWaldo leads the chase to the ball, but it goes out for another throw-in 20 metres out from St Kilda's goal. Still in their right forward pocket.
Rewald had done nothing. He jumped up in the ruck, took it down, and then carried the ball over the line. He's a fantastic competitor.
If St Kilda conjures a goal here, they'll win. Revolt, the third man up. It comes to the front. In dispute. Bartell kicked it in a hurry. It'll ricochet to Jones, though, the Saints. 60 out. Hand pass to Hayes. Hemmed in on the boundary. Got it inside the 50. Del Santo, the spoil. It's out of bounds. To Tim Hodges.
3 doctors down here at Geelong working overtime on James Kelly. They've got the head bandage on and to get him back on the ground.
Same scenario again from the stoppage. The Saints looking for the winner. It's 50 out. Everybody's up in the ruck. Selwood front of the pack. Hand pass to Bartell. Hand passed it out of play.
They need a third man up, Geelong. They need to take the risk. Someone's got to come over the top and try and punch it back into play, because all Saints are doing is taking it straight to the boundary, and Rewalt's done it.
At the throw-in, Taylor's the third man up. He knocks it boundary side for the Cats. Del Santo has it. He can probe the Saints deep forward. He kicks in the Kaczynski direction, and it's cut off bravely by Bartell. And the Cats are up to go the length of the field. Hand pass to Scarlett. He tried the torpedo. It's desperation station half-back. Milburn has it. He goes the torpedo. It bounces past the field at half-forward. Gwilt and Mooney free kick somewhere on the field.
Oh, it's against Mooney for in the back on Gwilton. I tell you, that is a big, big call by the umpire.
The goal does not count. St Kilda still leads by 4 points.
That's a massive, massive call.
So it's Gilbert who had to take it on the half volley in the end, but he had time to kick it over to Milne, who kicks it up to Peake, and St Kilda have it on the members' wing. Just when it looked like the Cats were going to snatch victory, St Kilda hold on to the lead. Peake will kick down the line. He wants his captain. He's in the pack. Taylor couldn't quite take it. Schneider can. Hand pass knocked down by Enright. Tried to kick it off the ground, but it was out of play. Everyone's still trying to gain their breath to work out what happened before. Throw in. Rewalt wins the tap, looking for the boundary, but it's sharked by Selwood. Last chance for the Cats. Kicks up towards the members' wing. Sharked by Milne. Kicks it back inside 50. I reckon St Kilda's going to win it. Milne can't quite keep it out. It's out of play. It was bouncing close to the boundary. And we'll have a throw in 20 metres out from St Kilda's goal in their left forward pocket. I reckon the Saints are going to hold on. Boundary throw in. They've tapped it out of bounds again, but this time it's even closer. It's another throw in. Deep in St Kilda's attacking zone. They lead by 4 points. Thrown in. Rewalt there. Can't go siren. September redemption perhaps for St Kilda. The Saints have won it by 4 points in an MCG September Classic. It's the Saints into the preliminary final. The Cats are going to have to do it the hard way. The Southern Stand is rocking. The Cats fans are rocked. They thought they had it with the goal to Ling, but it was a free kick against Cameron Mooney. You can't even hear the St Kilda song for the chants from the St Kilda fans. Just watching Cameron Ling, hands on hips, he's completely stunned. The final score, St Kilda 12-11-83 to Geelong 11-13-79. Complete heartache for the Cats, no doubt about that. But if St Kilda had lost, it would have been heartache for the Saints as well. The goal kickers, 3 each to Rewalt and Milne. And singles to Jones, Montagna, Schneider, Gardner, Goddard and Kazitsky. For the Cats, 3 to Mooney, 2 to Johnson, 2 to Stokes and 2 to Varco, and singles to Burns, to Chapman and to Ling. It's the Saints into the preliminary final, a 4-point win at the MCG.
I must admit I didn't see the incident. I looked to see the finish of Ling in difficult circumstances put it away. I was convinced that it was done all above board. I mean, you might have seen, I see Mooney since the siren has been trying to justify to his teammates one after the other why it actually happened. He didn't believe that the free kick was there or justified.
No, he didn't. Look, can I say the umpires I thought tonight were very, very good, outstanding. Whether he got that decision right or wrong will be the cause of great debate. But unfortunately for Geelong, it went against them. They had their chances though, and they got too far back, but they were fantastic. I would have thought St Kilda lose this game. I couldn't see them coming back and winning the grand final. I can see Geelong coming back and winning the grand final.
On the back of tonight?
I just think they're good enough.
Yeah, no, I think they are too. And they only controlled the game, Pete, really for the first, what shall we say, first 10 or 12 minutes of the first quarter. And then again in the latter part of this game, maybe for most of the last quarter, certainly some of the third quarter. I thought St Kilda played better football. No, controlled the game for a longer period of time, but in the finish, the cream rose to the top, and the better Geelong players, the most skillful ones that we continue to name, stood up and played great footy in very difficult conditions, bringing a team back from the brink, because 10 minutes into the third quarter, they were dead, buried and gone. In my mind, they were. So it takes a great footy team with some very, very good individual talent to actually reverse what was a downhill run.
And they hung on, St Kilda. They did well. And Rewald in the end was fairly significant in that. Even though you can get the ball a lot in the last quarter, he did some good things to hang it down that end.
The Cats kicked 1 goal 7 in the final quarter. St Kilda kicked 1 goal straight.
Yep. They had their chances.
Yeah, and that's happened, hasn't it? So often. And at Geelong now, it's cost them what's this qualifying final? It's cost them a grand final. So whilst they are the most efficient, which is very interesting, they're number one in the competition in terms of scoring efficiency. It was the one facet of the game tonight which let them down.
Saints by 9 points at quarter time, by 20 at the half, by 11 at three-quarter time, and by 4 at the end. They get the saloon run through to the preliminary final. They're on pole to make it back to a second consecutive grand final. Tim Hodges will have set up in the St Kilda rooms. The players about to arrive with you, Hodgie.
Just amazing scenes, Jared. When Cameron Lynn kicked that goal, I've never seen Geelong celebrate on the bench. It was similar to last year's grand final celebrations when they knew they had it, and then the disbelief afterwards. St Kilda just coming into the rooms now, guys. So not an enormous round of applause, actually. I thought it might have been bigger, but this is going to be one massive song belted out.
Whilst they're coming together, you never ever underestimate. I said to you before the game.
The Saints are just going to have a meeting, guys. I'll have a player with you shortly.
Just help me here with the draw now. That certainly has upset the predictions as we go into the preliminary final week.
Well, it could do. Geelong is now in the winner of Collingwood and the Western Bulldogs side. They've also got a semi-final against the winner of Fremantle and Hawthorn. And ponder just for a moment how close Hawthorn have been to knocking over Geelong in recent times. There's all manner of possibilities now, and the Saints are in pole. The winner tonight was going to be heavily favoured to go through to a grand final and contest, and for the loser, winning a premiership just got a whole lot more difficult.
I really thought Del Santo was a good player for them tonight. I thought he stood up. I thought Rewalt was fantastic. Lenny Hayes just did some hard things when needed. Goddard had that brilliant first half, but Ling was outstanding on him in the second half, and he could have won the game for them. So
that was a good matchup, wasn't it? When you think about it, it's the one we didn't predict before the game.
He goes to all sorts of different players.
Yeah, he go back. I thought Goddard was the architect in terms of where St Kilda were by half time. I thought his work, he started on the wing, but he works back, comes through with the ball, occasionally gets into the front half. They'll give it off. He's a great goal kick, which they did tonight. A wonderful player. So actually, Ling was struggling tonight, and then reversed his performance in the second half.
Okay, Parko, the psychology of football. You're the coach of Geelong at the moment. They think they've kicked the winning goal to put themselves in front, and then a week off and the preliminary final. What does the coach say to the playing group from here to get them up?
Well, I know he would have been in a position, probably watching it as we do, on whether he saw what happened behind the play. The camera certainly went to him after the reversal, and he was agitated that again Mooney becomes the key figure, which he's done so often. Probably it was
I've just got to interrupt you here. We're just getting the shots of the Geelong players after Ling has kicked it. 3 of them rushed to Ling, heads bowed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 St Kilda players completely distraught, can't even look at what has taken place before anybody becomes aware of what's happened. There's a pack of 6 Geelong players in to celebrate before anybody realises that the free kick's gone the way it has.
Well, the reversal of emotion there, that's what you're talking about.
That's what I mean. How can you get up from that?
And it's well, they'll get up because they're professional people and they've got such a wonderful record. There's an enormous belief amongst those players, but it would be significantly harder because we all expected for them to win by a margin 3 to 5 goals most people were talking about, and they got to the point where probably they should have won and didn't win, and it might have been on the back of an indiscretion from a player who's been better in terms of his discipline, but has always carried this undisciplined element and has been costly for Geelong over a period of time. So,
in fairness to him, it's just a tackle.
Yeah, well,
it's been adjudged in the back, and I understand that, but it is just a tackle. Will had the ball, they go to ground together. There's nothing undisciplined about it. It's just a tackle.
Well, I didn't see it, so that's a fair comment. And Pete might have called it right because I thought the umpires had thrown the whistle away and they were just allowing it to be played out in the right spirit. So to pull one like that, there'll be a fair bit of criticism.
Final score in the second qualifying final: St Kilda 12-11-83 by 4 points over Geelong, 11-13-79. In a finish so dramatic, you just have to take it in for yourself. 63,608 depart the MCG in various states of euphoria and dismay.